He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome in on a Tuesday. It probably wouldn't have saved anybody any criticism because, let's face it, the decision on Sunday put the wheels in motion for most of Colts fans out there to be incredibly angry about the state of affairs for their favorite football team. Question their allegiance to it. Why you bother wondering about when you're ever going to get the return on the investment that every year they promise to do better, promise to find a way, and it not happening. So I had mentioned yesterday, I felt it was a good idea. As it turned out, and I guess maybe it's something you don't know until you actually see the way that press conference went about this time yesterday with Carl Gordon, the Colts CEO. It didn't go well. It was pretty bad. And how you can recognize that, and some people said yesterday, well, you know, you're just being a horse's ass because that's what you are. The last thing I want to be, I don't strive to be it. I do fall into the gap sometime. I just can't help myself. But I don't want to be it in terms of this. I want things to be enjoyable. I want it to be enjoyable like what we did during that Pacer playoff run last spring. My goodness, I'm still euphoric over that. You kind of still have to have at least a slight sports arousal with it, too, because otherwise, how can you watch a team that could set a franchise record in consecutive losses coming up later on tonight? It's still there. That feeling is there. It was awesome. Oh, yeah, ask IU fans about how they're feeling right now, which, by the way, I got something for you coming up here, information for you coming up here. But ask IU fans how they feel about this football program. Seriously, this is like you walking down the sidewalk and finding a $20 bill. This is like found money for you. There's way too much of being critical and griping and crying going on in the world in which I live. That's all it's about. Really, if you're not shaking your fist and pissed about something, you probably don't have your mouth open unless you breathe through it. Maybe at the same time. That's just how things are. So when you take a rest, or when you have the opportunity to take a rest from it, at least from me, and I've been doing this for the better part of 25 plus years now, at least by myself for 25 plus years, and then with Mark prior to that. So I've done it long enough to know the difference. And I've done it long enough to know that if you've got a gas can and you're setting a fire on the radio, or if you're torching somebody or roasting, whatever term that we use today, that doesn't appeal to me. What does appeal to me is everybody having a damn good time, because a damn good time with your favorite teams around here, simply put, has been few and far between. So this is not all about just wanting to, again, start a fire or stir things up for the sake of doing it. But also, over the process of this gig, you have to tell it like it is, or at least how you feel that it is. And yesterday, I explained to you that in hindsight, it would have been better had you just had a statement released. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. You could do it with a letter from ownership to the fans because we love you. And all that will be said in block/bold print, perfectly written, perfectly punctuated, perfectly stated, and still will get incredibly criticized. to read it block by block again, but I can start it as follows. Dear Colts fans, like you, we're without a doubt frustrated with the final results of the season. Until we win consistently, claim the division, and reach the playoffs, we're not meeting the high standard we all expect out of our team. All right, that's what you had to say yesterday. Hell, that's what I had to say. That is challenging the lack of results. That's what matters. That's really what should matter. And especially when you're in the midst of it, when you're mired in this muck that they're a part of, and how it should have been stated yesterday, to, hey, here's this dream, a little dream we have right here. Because that's exactly what it was until further notice. Those 2 months of excitement. It's really not reality. Because ultimately, everything turned out like everything turns out around here, or at least has. And you felt compelled to go ahead and bring it all back and do the same thing because you took that sample size. You took that sample size of, wow, this is really good right here, and you believe in that over the rest of the season. Now, an argument can be made regarding the quarterback being compromised with injury, but I can easily make an argument that that quarterback compromised with injury combined with an offense was starting to look a little bit rugged prior to the injury. You go back to that Pittsburgh game, you turned the ball over 6 times. I remember the dialogue we had after that game was, I can't believe, because you were still kind of, whoa, wow, this is still okay. I mean, they never win in Pittsburgh, because that's when we were lobbing all the excuses. We were lobbing all the excuses because there were some in the NFL world that were saying, hey, that schedule was way easy, and that's a little bit more of a thumbnail sketch of what reality is for the Colts. You had a Pittsburgh team defensively playing certainly a lot more desperate. And the Colts offense did a whole lot of nothing except turning the football over. They were still within 1 score, all these 1-score games. And really the 1-score games that all led to losses this season, that's a microcosm of who this team is. December's been an absolute nightmare. You can't even celebrate Christmas around here if you love Christmas because you're just awaiting the absolute collapse and slide of this football team every year, or at least for the most part in the past 9. But you could see the wheels starting to wobble there, and then the rest. And after the Berlin game, and you survive in overtime barely, where your quarterback makes a couple of plays, a couple of passes, I think a 4th down completion that kept the drive alive. And you were able to get a win and go into a bye week feeling a lot better had you lost. And then that was the last time that you won a game in the 2025 season. And that's where we are. And that's why where we are right now is certainly a hell of a lot more about reality and where we actually are than any part of September and October may have defined for you. And that's what's unfortunate about this. As it continues, this is still not reality-based. It's hope-based. You want to know what you should believe, not what they hope that you're able to believe. Talking about the change of philosophies. The change of philosophies from Chris Ballard, the whole process of building this and adding depth and, both sides of the football in the trenches, inside out. For one thing, that's a philosophy. If you have a quarterback, that's a philosophy maybe you're able to take, but you need to solidify the positions that matter. Rick Venturi said this on Sunday's pregame show, the final one. He said, we can find guys that can play on the interior somewhere, but you have to find guys that define your team and playmaking ability. Guys that really can get it done. Guys that are worrisome, that are troublesome for the opposition. As he likes to describe them, those are ambient players. And the Colts don't have any of those. The Colts have a lot of words on paper and a lot of words in the press conference. And that's what they have. So, again, the change in philosophy going into free agency, the change in philosophy of going for it prior to the trade deadline, which, again, I was all for. The problem that you have is it's still on your resume as a losing season and a fifth year out of the postseason. And yet another year since 2014, you won the division. And you were done with your season eliminated before the final two regular season matchups. And this is just stuff that cannot happen. I don't care if it's here or anywhere in this NFL era. Normally, that's going to get your run after two seasons. Listen, in Vegas, that's going to get your run after a season. As I mentioned yesterday, they changed coaches and executives there like we change our underwear. But it would have already been done to this point and should have already been done, alas, it isn't. So the problem is that should have been yesterday. And again, I'm going to go ahead and spare you all of reading the multi-paragraphs. Not that I'm going to minimize it, but just to tell you exactly why that was cobbled together. Why that was pieced together is because they fully understand the magnitude of the failure that they had yesterday. You guys, your voices are being heard. There's just not been action taken regarding your voices. And you know how I feel about that. Yes, I know the old saying goes in sports. Yeah, if you listen to the fans, you'll be sitting with them one of these days. Well, I mean, really, you should be sitting with them right now. Maybe it would be savvy if you would listen to the fans because you haven't been right about a damn thing. And again, even if things went well for 2 months, you're still not right about how things ended. That's still on your resume. You are still accountable for it. And there have been many people made accountable in this organization over the past 9 years. There is one common denominator. Alas, that's where we are. And that is where we are as other teams and two out of your division end up going into the postseason feeling good about the present and the future as well. And here you're left with wondering if you should even jack around with wanting tickets next year, wanting to be a part of this. Why should you? And once again, you're left with somebody detailing you about how you should hope this all works out. When the evidence has shown over the past 9 years, with maybe an exception or two, it's been a failure. We can discuss that at 239-1070. If you guys were left on hold yesterday, we would love to talk at you, 317-239-1070. That is the text line. If you guys would like to go there, I've got a busy week coming up for you, too, by the way. I'd mention that I've got something, and I'll explain that in a second. But we're going to get more into IU and that national semifinal college football playoff game coming up on Friday. Of course, on Thursday, you got the Fiesta Bowl, Miami and Ole Miss. And then on Friday, you've got the Peach Bowl with IU and Oregon. That a rematch of that game going back to early October. And that win in Eugene by IU over the Ducks. You've got that rematch coming up on Friday. So Friday, we're going to be live at Clayton's Country Bar. We're going to not only do a little pregame party for the Peach Bowl, but I'm going to go ahead and get on stage and do my rendition of A Devil Went Down to Georgia, and then we'll watch the game there if you guys like. So that's going to be one hell of a time coming up on Friday. All of us together at Clayton's Country Bar. No, I don't have cowboy boots. I have a nice selection of boots, just not cowboy boots. Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday. So hopefully we will see you all there, and what the hell, we'll all hang out and watch that bad boy after the fact, too. You got to see me do A Devil Went Down to Georgia. Because, really, what it is with the late, great Charlie Daniels, it's the spoken word, so I can do that. There's not much singing involved. Solo steel, in a bind, way behind, willing to make a deal. And it's kind of appropriate considering the matchup and where it is for the Peach Bowl. Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday. I would love to see everybody out there. Plus, I had mentioned this. BullseyeEventGroup.com. The authors of the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration, well, they do parties. And what they do, they put together things for you guys to be a part of. I mean, moments that you want to be a part of. And here's a moment for you. So if the Hoosiers advance to the title game in Miami, if they do, and we want to get the word out there because these packages go on sale coming up tomorrow. And with everybody being incredibly excited about this product and the opportunity to advance to Miami for the national championship game, it seems absolutely incredible. But if you want to be a part of it, here's how you can be. So coming up tomorrow at bullseyeeventgroup.com, a round-trip flight from Indianapolis to Fort Lauderdale is a part of this package. Saturday morning to Tuesday morning. Can you imagine how much, and I say how much we can party down there because my ass is going too. We're all going. Luggage service from the airport to the hotel. A 2-night upscale hotel accommodation. You guys ready for this? The Diplomat Resort is where this is going to be. You have a welcome reception with Bullseye Event Group. The exclusive Bullseye Event Group pregame event. That's the pregame party. That's the absolute best. You know that to be true. If you've been there before, I mean, hell, all of you have been there, right? Most of you have won. Round trip game day transfers, reserved national championship game tickets, all taxes and gratuities included. Now, the bookings are fully refundable. So if you're saying, well, wait a minute, they haven't won anything yet, you're absolutely right. But they want to make sure that they get this out there and we get involved, you get involved before that. And believe me, there is nothing against karma we're doing about this. We're preparing for fun. My God, you need some fun. And I think some of you out there need to prepare for the fun. So that's what we're doing. You don't want to be left out on this. So bookings are fully refundable if Indiana does not advance to the national title game. You can join me in South Florida for the Hoosiers' historic championship run. I'm excited. It's with bullseyeeventgroup.com, and I believe that officially begins coming up tomorrow. I will get with Kyle Kinnett to see what else is happening right there. But, yeah, this is me, all of us going. And I know that there's still work to do. You know, like Kurt Signetti would be incredibly offended by me saying this, but that's okay. I just want to make sure everybody, because this is going to be a short turnaround time. Everybody can get involved. bullseyeeventgroup.com. Yes. I'll remind you of that over the course of the afternoon, and then that bad boy begins coming up tomorrow. And Pacers at home later on tonight against the Cavaliers. The voice of the Pacers, Chris Denery, is going to join us a little bit later on. More about that semifinal round matchup with Oregon, that rematch with IU from Greg Rakestraw, who's going to join us coming up on the other side. Also, Ole Miss and Miami, the transfer portal, and some college hoop. Butler in action. Butler needs one. They get the Johnnies at home coming up later on tonight. Things didn't work out against Nova on Saturday. They have to work out a lot better. Here's the one thing that I've noticed about Butler basketball is the inconsistency is there. But, man, when things start to go south with the Dogs, and this is something that needs to be fixed because I can tell, and if I can tell, everybody can. These guys are tough on resistant situations, meaning if they get into a funk or a rut, the other team likely will get easy opportunities and or layups. They will fade away when the going gets tough. Butler later on tonight. You know what? We should probably preview this. Maybe reach out to Nick or Mark and see if they want to drop in and preview this. Hey, James, what station is this on in the building later on tonight? Is it on Fuego, 92.7? Is that Fuego, I believe? It's probably right in front of my face right here. I'm not looking at it. Yeah, it's on Fuego. I was right. 6:30 your coverage. Butler and St. John's later on tonight is indeed on Fuego. Yeah, right here. Coming up later on this evening, Pacers and the Cavaliers. That pregame is at 6:30. James, that mean I have a little Anything goes after 6 o'clock tonight because of this?
We have about 8 extra minutes, and then we'll get into the daily update.
Son of a gun, 8 extra minutes. What shall I ever do? All right, 239-1070 is that number. You guys want to go ahead and log in and be a part of this? I think that you should. 239-1070. 317-239-1070. You can find me on the text line as well. You can also send in your messages. I will read them. The stream, the app, it is HD Radio. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. You guys ready to get fired up? I am. Greg Rakestraw, Chris Denery, and ways that you can join me, and hopefully in a big way in South Florida. I'm just trying to, in my brain right now, go over the fun, because I'm the Pied Piper of that. I don't do a lot of things right. That's what I can do right. The Pied Piper of fun in South Florida. Who's with me on that bad boy? That and more coming up, too. World of college basketball. And as I mentioned, too, the Cavaliers and the Pacers later on tonight. Stream the app. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. Thank me later for 2026 on the open road. AAA always has your back. And a shout out to Matt Goins, as always, for being a part of this show. Don't go anywhere. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Big Red Liquors. Big Red Liquors, you've got that right. 100 plus locations throughout the state of Indiana. There's one near you. You can find them online at bigredliquors.com. You have got a lot working right now, and a lot working for you in terms of what you're looking for this weekend, because we've got big game savings all the way around. For example, all Upland 12 packs. You're going to save $2. Revolution, Who's Your Hero, 16-ounce 4-packs, $6 off as well. The big game gear with Big Red Liquors T-shirts, only $5 right now, too. Big game savings on the fan favorites like Maker's Mark, $7.50s, $10 off. Four Roses, 80-proof, $7.50s, $5 off, too. Heineken 4-packs, you're going to save big. Twisted Tea, Budweiser, Bud Light, all Miller Lite and Coors Light products, savings. That is unprecedented for you this time of year when you need it for that pre-game party, in-game party situation. Big Red Liquors. Big Red Liquors powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. You can find all these deals and more. 100-plus locations throughout the state of Indiana, one near you. To find it online, bigredliquors.com.
The Ride with JMV.
It takes him a second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. James is over there. Yeah, fully refundable 3-night package. Yeah, buy now to lock in your space with bullseyeeventgroup.com. Things go, I believe, begin coming up tomorrow with bullseyeeventgroup.com. That is for the if IU wins national championship game down in South Florida. And from what I was just told by Jeremiah and Melissa in Pittsburgh, that the Diplomat Resort, it is so nice that they may not let me in. Is this true? Is it that nice where they go, well, wait a minute. We may not let you in. Is that Evan walking in the parking lot down there? Hey, James, is that him down there?
Probably.
Yeah, I think he's walking back to his car right here. Where is he going? He can't get in?
Well, he's waiting for me to go down and let him in, but I need to get Greg on the air before I can do that.
Oh, I got you. Is Greg ready?
He's ready.
Oh, let's do that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Well, I better hustle up here. Greg Rakestraw joins us now. Hello, Greg.
So, in other words, if you don't get me on the air, you don't get to eat today. Is that the way this works?
Well, I will eat this at about, and this is bad business for me, about 11:15 later on tonight, probably, because I'm going to go play some hoop, and I can't eat before I go play any basketball. So we'll eat afterwards, Greg. The salmon.
What is the health food option for you at Cluster Truck?
Salmon and roasted vegetables.
Good call. Good call.
Yes.
I tend to be a fan of their. And I'm sure I get it wrong. Basically, it's like their applewood chicken salad
that
has like cranberry dressing. I feel remotely healthy about that. That's kind of my go-to if I'm actually on the wagon and calling our friends at Cluster.
It is weird. I can't have the sweet and the salty. Man, I can't have that. I've never been a sweet guy mixed with an entree. Is that weird?
Try it, man. It's good stuff. I promise you, it's good stuff.
Anything honey-based, like honey. I was never a honey mustard guy or anything like that. Or, if it's sweet, I'm not down with it. Weird, I know.
By the way, where are we hooping tonight? Where are we playing?
City Grove West Gym. So I'm sure the floor will be dirty as hell, and I'll slide around like crap. Means I have to wear my snowshoes in there so I don't slide around everywhere.
Well, it is an old gymnasium, John. It tends to do that,
But they do have a couple of brooms over there. Maybe you could occasionally sweep the floor, at least leave one out for me, and hell, I'll do it. But no, last week it was in the Vandy, and it was glorious. I love the Vandy. I do.
The Vandy's an arena.
Yes.
That's what that thing is. In my early days of doing the IUPUI games on radio, and I was still doing some Center Grove games on radio, I'm like, if we just pulled like the end bleachers back and put like a college court on here, we could play the IUPUI games like in a 4,000-seat building. That and Jasper are like two high school gymnasiums that I actually think are more arenas than they are gyms.
I like that. I like it very much. Greg Rakestraw joins us. I'm going to start. Normally we don't do this, but Butler has St. John's later on tonight on Fuego. That's underway at 6:30 with Mark and Nick. And I said this a little bit earlier. Like Butler has moments when they're good, but when the going gets tough, these guys in particular on the defensive end will tend to fade. How does this group get over that? Because you have to, and you really need to against St. John's tonight.
The answer is I'm not sure, unfortunately. And the only bit of good news is, again, this is the luxury of playing in a league like the Big East, is now the ability to know you have several chances for high caliber and high quality wins during the season. But they've let a couple of those chances go by. Obviously, the Creighton game last week, and then getting dispatched with ease by Villanova over the course of the weekend. So it's something they've got to fix. I'm not sure they got the right personnel to fix it. They just simply have a number of opportunities in which to turn it around. But as you and I have talked about, there's one question about Butler basketball right now, and it's simply, can you make the NCAA tournament? It's trending in the wrong direction, but there is still time and opportunity to fix it.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like this has been kind of a consistency, and you see all sorts of mixtures in this era of college basketball, And it seems like at Butler, they've really, and Thad's really struggled to try to find any consistent mixture to play the way that the Butler fans would expect consistently again.
Correct. And again, it's one of those things you simply say it has to get better. I'm not sure how it gets better, but, the way that it's being done right now is probably not going to be a long-term solution.
What's Braden Smith mean to you over his career? Now the assist leader all-time Big Ten, possibly could challenge at the national level for that mark as well. But just overall, what has he meant from somebody that covered him back in his days at Westfield to what he has transformed himself into as just a top-shelf elite-level player in college basketball?
I need to see if I can go back and find the box score. When they played in the Hall of Fame Classic his senior year, and they beat Cathedral, who went on to win the state championship that year, I want to say he either had a quadruple-double or a triple-double. And it was just one of those things I'm like, this dude, he's got a bit of a case of the red A, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to let his teammates lose. He's going to figure out a way to win. And obviously that is translated to the college level. I think he's going to be an NBA player next year. So when you ask me that question, the immediate thought is add him to the list of guys I covered in high school basketball that I will see getting a significant paycheck to play professional basketball. Obviously, he's getting a great paycheck now, the way the system works. But this is a guy that I thought could be a really good player and has far, surpassed what I thought he could do at Purdue. I probably didn't think of him 4 years ago as an NBA guy, and now I absolutely think he's going to be a guy that will get a lengthy NBA career because of how the game has changed and how his game fits it perfectly.
Greg, I always felt that Fletcher Lawyer was kind of the gauge for this team, and if he played at a higher level, this team was as tough as anybody nationally to beat, and when he doesn't, maybe it's a little bit more obvious of their vulnerability. Is it the same way with you, or might it be another individual on this team? I mean, obviously, if you can compromise Braden Smith, that's problematic for the Boilermakers, but is Fletcher Lawyer seem that type to you if he doesn't have a good game for Purdue?
No, I think that's a fair way to say it, just because you kind of know exactly what you get with Braden Smith and TKR on a regular basis. You kind of know what those guys are going to give you. Lawyer is kind of the X factor. Now obviously there's other guys around that contribute, but I think the best way to put it is this: life is a lot easier when he's hitting for the Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah, and no question about that too. Boilermakers get coming up tomorrow night, Washington. We just saw IU beat Washington in that mausoleum effect that the Sunday night at 8 o'clock game gives you. I know it's all about TV and such, but my goodness, you could hear a pin drop at Assembly Hall in Bloomington on Sunday night. That thing was a bore fest from a crowd angle.
It was, but again, you said it, and that's where the majority of revenue comes from is the television deal. And think about it this way: there are 18 television windows that you fill as a league now once you get to Big Ten conference play. And let me explain. 18 teams, one rotation of the league is 9 games. The average playing 2 games a week, hence 18 television windows. And when you have got multiple partners to work with in Fox and Big Ten Network, and Peacock and NBC, you're going to have some odd times. And frankly, there's other factors too. And I think it's even more than just the television deal. Let's face it. There's only so much that everybody has in the passion bucket. And right now, that's going to go towards IU football. It has made IU basketball to a certain degree an afterthought. And the best explanation I can give you, there's 2 of them, I guess. Look at how many high school basketball games on Friday night are getting moved because people want to watch the IU national semifinal. There's one. But I would encourage you to go read Pat Forty's work, which is good on any day. But he did a great job of going to one of the bars or sports bars down in New Albany, because obviously I grew up down there. Pat worked in Louisville for years and still calls Louisville home. But he basically went the night of the UK game, which was opposite the night of Fernando Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy. And he wrote about what it was like to try to watch both events in the bar and basically how much of a backseat the IU Kentucky game being played for the first time in the regular season in 14 years, how much of a secondary event that was to Fernando Mendoza getting the Heisman. And so IU Kentucky takes a backseat to that. Imagine what Indiana Washington on a Sunday night is going to feel like at Assembly Hall.
What's Indiana and Oregon feel like to you in that college football playoff semifinal on Friday down in Atlanta?
I don't want to say a trap game, but I also just want to say for as glorious as watching IU completely just beat the dog out of Alabama last Thursday, this is going to be different because I do think there is something to seeing a team for a second time. And Oregon has more of a handle on exactly what IU is all about, and they will be ready for the challenge. I still like Indiana's chances to win. If you go back to that game in Eugene, Indiana didn't play their best football offensively. And let's face it, there was a pick six involved that kind of kept Oregon in that game longer maybe than they should have been. But this is the place that Indiana football has gotten to. The analogy or line that hit me earlier today was it's the old Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. IU's been punching everybody in the mouth, including Oregon. And not that they have kind of gone through that one time, I frankly think it helps keep them closer the second time around.
So Greg Rakestraw, kind enough to join us with our 1997 dial-up bandwidth right now. We're still 1997. I may play Limp Bizkit when you're done here.
Am I starting to get a little lollipop gildish on you? I'm
gonna start. Just at the end, just start saying you did it all for the nookie, and we'd be 1997 all over again.
And am I regressing from a puberty standpoint as we speak?
You are. There is zero way you have gone through puberty in Laytonsville, Indiana, at this point with your voice. None.
Well,
zero.
Maybe my collarbone will not break in my freshman year of JV basketball, if that's the case.
Yeah,
that's
to give me give me the Peter Brady sha-na-na-na-na. From the puberty episode.
Jumping back on my head, and I can feel the pounds lifting off of me as we speak. This is great. This is a trip through time. This is great.
It is kind of like a dial-up bandwidth time machine we're dealing with right here with Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned this, the note or letter, if you will, to the fans today. I guess that was a backup plan from what really didn't go well at all yesterday with Carly Ursay-Gordon and that press conference postseason.
Yeah, and again, there is a certain segment of the fan base that unless heads were going to roll, you weren't going to make happy. And if this is what Carly and Kaylin and Casey feel is the right move, frankly, the next 7-8 months are not going to be fun. The only chance you have to prove people that you made the right decision is by winning games in September and October. And then, Johnny, everybody's going to say, hey, you did that last year. You didn't win in November and December. So your chance to be proven right from the team's perspective isn't going to take place until November or December. So it's one of those things where, you can say a lot of things right, and you can say them multiple times. You don't have a chance to truly fix it until your team gets on the field and, frankly, gets 9, 10, 11, 12 games into the season. So it's one of those things of, hey, if you think this is the best decision, you got to have the conviction to stay with it and hope you made the right decision. And that answer won't be revealed until next November or December at the earliest.
That is Greg Rakestraw, the pre-pubescent Greg Rakestraw, kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group
hotline. Are you telling
me
that, I used to sing bass when I was in high school. Am I now a tenor? Is that what's happening?
There's no doubt about it. You're definitely Peter Brady when it's time to change right here. I'm gonna have James play that a little bit later on so we can do a little sha-na-na-na-na for everybody here.
I actually gave a piece because I was in the studios earlier today. Because even taping interviews, I have kind of had this issue with a couple of guests. So this is going to be over your head, but just tell James to write this down once he goes downstairs and get your food from Cluster Truck. Offer guests the chance to be on teams. I did an interview with that about 2.5 hours ago, and it sounded crystal clear. Steely Dan FM, no static at all.
Really?
Offer the teams option, yes, because it bypasses the phone system.
Well,
this is where it pays, John, to have a really smart, techie, nerdy friend like me.
Interestingly enough, Adewale Ogunleye, the former Hoosier, is, I think, going to come on the show later on this week, and he offered up teams. So, James?
Listen to what Wally has to say. The man got an IU education. He's a smart fella.
Well done, Greg. I appreciate that very much, man. We'll do it again next week.
All right, hopefully I'll be a little post-pubescent next time when I'm talking to you on the program.
Greg, I appreciate you. Greg Rakestraw, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So they tell me that this is with the internet in the building. Is that what that is?
I think it's our internet. I heard.
Are we on dial-up right here?
We could be at this point. I have heard potentially that tomorrow they are going to be doing something with the internet. Who knows if that actually happens, but that's just what I heard through the grapevine.
How's everybody downloading porn around here then? That's not happening, is it? Lord. Yeah, I heard it for the first time today with Stephen Holder with Jake. I had not heard it prior to that. I'll be honest with you, I don't care. You still heard what he had to say. We can all sit around and joke that he sounded like he hadn't gone through puberty. And believe me, pre-pubescent jokes, that's right up my alley right there. Bring it. Bring it, everybody, at 239-1070. Let's hear from more of you that sound exactly like that. Beautiful thing. I mentioned to Butler coming up later on tonight. That is on Fuego, 6:30 tonight. And you look at St. John's as a team. St. John's hasn't really been as good as maybe people thought so far. But, yeah, Butler in trying to do anything with Villanova on Saturday, that wasn't working at all. Highly unfortunate. And Butler just looks like a team right now, for whatever reason. They have some dudes that don't mind going away and going away quickly. You can't have that. A little bit of resistance, and that's something we talk about in terms of the Colts, especially healthy or not in December. They will also go away. Quick one, we shall return. That is James over there. I think Evan from Cluster Truck's going to roll in here with my salmon. Denery a little bit later on. Denery won, what is that, national award for Broadcaster of the Year in the state of Indiana. He and Rob Blackman actually shared the award. Rob Blackman and I, true story, it was my first talk show with Rob Blackman at, if you remember, the old Champions bar downtown. I think it's Connors downtown now, across from the convention center. That's when Shula's Steakhouse was also in that hotel. But it was called Champions. And Rob and I did a pregame, preseason Colts broadcast together. And then Rob went on, and I think he was doing Firebirds back in the day as well when the Arena League squad was here in town. And now just sounds fantastic with the Boilermaker programs, and especially that of the play-by-play voice of the basketball program. And a shout-out to Rob and Chris for a job well done. And our guy James Boyd won it from a writer's angle. And the only thing that he and Denery need to work on now is their broke-ass jump shots. And congratulations to them all. Quick one, we shall return. Busy show. If you're on hold, you too can sound like you have yet to go through puberty. And believe me, I'm here for it. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. The best dial-up we've ever had, you've ever been a part of right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John, for the District Tap, you got two locations on the north side, Clearwater Crossing, downtown. Great night to hit up on a Tuesday, the District Tap, because you got games going on. You can pregame there, go over to watch a little hoop at the field house, come back out, postgame it up on a Tuesday. Hey, I'm just trying to set you up. I want to set you up for a good time. The District Tap, Michael and the gang have that for you. Damn good food, happy hour specials, unbeatable entertainment, as I mentioned. I mean, you can get a load of anything. TVs everywhere. And the same goes for the north side. Maybe it's a date night for those of you in northern Marion, Hamilton counties, the surrounding area. You and the fam? Sure. District Tap on the north side with the damn good food and the TVs everywhere. Know this as well. They have live music on the weekends, event space for your celebrations. Really, a little bit of everything you're going to find at the District Tap. No matter when you check it out, just be sure that you do. For more info, that's online, thedistricttap.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Greg, a moment ago, was here, and he did it all for the nookie. That should be our motto. Well done, James, on the re-entry right there. Denery, a little bit later on, I'll remind you of the Bullseye Fund that we could have if the Hoosiers win coming up on Friday. Explanation forthcoming. I know I'm not going to make this more than it is, because basically what it is, it's a bald jackass that's just a jackass, and he's a convicted felon. And that's Craig Carton. So we kind of joked about Craig Carton last week and what he said about IU fans not going to the Rose Bowl. They don't have enough money. It's going to be half empty. And, his dumb ass was wrong, like it normally is, unless he's taking money from somebody and goes to jail, and then it's right. But he has had a response because so many IU fans, and I think all of you were like on my social medias, just reaching out to him and ripping him. He and some dude named Tyrone Johnson ripping on Indiana fans being sensitive and stupid. For the convicted felon, calling anybody stupid may be ill-advised. I believe, is he on the same station? We got Boomer on tomorrow, right? Is he on the same station? Is he on the Fan in New York that Boomer's a part of? I mean, I know that you got to be, and they hired him, and he's had big gigs, right? I mean, he's had nationwide gigs, which goes to show you how difficult or not it is to have a nationwide gig. Just be a jackass or be vanilla as hell. And there's your gig nationwide. But he's had all these national gigs. I can understand wanting to back and forth, and you probably got a little social media push out of it. But I won't play it. There's really no need. What it goes to show you, and it's much like, I shouldn't say there's much of a relation to it, other than this. It's dudes, and that's the one thing I've always wanted to do is, hey, if I'm wrong, then we're going to talk about it, and I'll be wrong. I mean, hell, I don't care. We're all wrong at some point. But some of these clowns just cannot deal with being wrong. Now, he sounded incredibly drunk, and I know when I sound incredibly drunk, then I'm really right. But no, he sounded incredibly drunk, and he was absolutely wrong. And at the very least, you can come back and maybe justify, this is what I meant by it. And you know, instead you double down because you do live in that world where you just want the reaction. And face it, you probably don't even believe in what you're saying. And that's what sucks about this business. That's what sucks about this career, is that you're constantly surrounded by those that really don't believe what they're saying, but they just say it for the reaction. And we've known one another for the better part of 25 plus years. And I'm glad that you fully understand that I have never been about that. And if that's costly, you know, if I showed a little bit more fire and had a little bit more of an edge and acting like a jackass, maybe you would like it more, but I can't do it because that's just not me. Some dudes are built that way, and this guy is. But I was going to make it relatable to Feinbaum. You just are kicking and screaming to inform people, or not to have to inform people that you're inaccurate or you're wrong. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because you ultimately are going to be, and if it doesn't happen on a daily basis, you're fortunate. But yeah, somebody had sent me that. Actually, John in Greenwood had sent me that. Quote, there's a reason that Indiana was able to have a great showing at the Rose Bowl. Stupid people go to Indiana. 80% acceptance rate, a pulse and 4 limbs get you into Indiana. Actually, I think that's how I got into Indiana State. My check cleared, but I'll take it. And I will tell you this. I went to Indiana State, had a great time, and I know a lot of people, James, that went to IU, probably more than I know that attended Indiana State. And everybody seemingly had a great time and is incredibly proud of their college choice and their education and getting their degree from there. So I don't know if there's anything wrong with it. What is ultimately wrong is just not being able to say that you're inaccurate on something. All right, you're wrong. I mean, you stepped across. You were just feeling it a little bit. Maybe you're kind of drunk. Maybe you just took somebody else's money. Who knows? But you were feeling it a little bit, and you just can't double back and go, yeah, you know what? That's a pretty good football team, and they had a crowd. That's all you really have to do. And all Paul Feinbaum would ever have to do is say, you know what, this is a pretty good team, and, you know, this SEC stuff, maybe it's not what it's all cracked up to be as I thought. That's all you got to do. Quick break, we'll come back. Denery still to come. BullseyeEventGroup.com. I'll explain that coming up as well, and a lot more for you. If you're on hold, I'm going to get to you at 239-1070. Stick and stay right there. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I got a great idea. How about starting a new year with a new ride? That's a new set of wheels. His name is Eric Wilson, and he cannot wait to have a conversation with you about the ride of your choice at Indiana's best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. Not only Eric, but he and his incredible staff will help you find that ride, that vehicle of your choice that you've been looking for. The inventory that they have, or you can just drive it right off the premises. The incentives to buy that's going to save you some money. And then obviously to maintain the life expectancy, to raise the bar on that. The service after the sale is absolutely unmatched. That's why I consistently have wanted you to go to the best. And Eric Wilson and his friends at Andy Moore Buick GMC, that's the best. Check him out today. Tell him I sent you. 131 and State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
No, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
It is. You just contradicted me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
No.
You did just then.
No, nonsense.
Oh, look, this is futile.
No, it isn't.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. We'll get to your calls in just a second. Denery a little bit later on. You got the Cavaliers and the Pacers later on tonight, 7 o'clock from the Fieldhouse. 6:30 coverage begins with Pat Boylan. I'll take you up until a little Colts update, right, I believe? Coming up a little bit after 6 tonight. On the road at Charlotte with the Hornets on Thursday, I was watching the Hornets and OKC last night because I get the package. And I get the package for free because you guys owe me that package for free, DirecTV or whatever it is. And I got it. That's great. I think I get center ice, too. So I've been watching a lot of NHL recently. Rob Kravitz somewhere out there is very proud of that. But they get the Hornets coming up on Thursday. I was watching the Hornets in OKC last night, and, man, it is – I think he used to do Big Ten Network games. Eric Collins is the play-by-play voice on TV of the Hornets, and he does it with Steph Curry's father, Del Curry. But, man, Eric Collins is over the top in the game call. I mean, over the top. I mean, honestly, it's bad enough that I got to watch a game with LaMelo Ball playing, but then I got to hear this guy, too. It's a rough one. It's probably the equivalent of how you guys are feeling about me right now. It's a rough listen. You're lucky to have Chris Denery, the winner of the 2025 Indiana Sportscaster of the Year Award by the National Sports Media Association. Chris also won that award, James, back in 2022. Now, Jim McCann in Southern California says, I won it in 2023. My recollection was 2020. I don't think I won it in 2023. I thought it was 2020.
I honestly don't remember.
It's very forgettable when I won it. I thought I won it when there was no sports going on. They go, oh, hell, we got to pick somebody. That's just, all right, let's go with this dumbass right here. There he is.
Do you not get a trophy for it?
I got a trophy. It's somewhere at my house. I did get a trophy. It's funny, though, man. Nobody mentioned it at Emmis back in the day. Go, I don't know. We may have to pay him if we mention it. We don't want to have to give him a raise. I'm going to sound like our callers sound right now. We don't have to give him a raise. What about my Sea-Doo? I'm Pat Walsh. Can't buy that if I give that guy a raise. Anyway, shout out to Chris and a shout out to James Boyd from the morning show and of The Athletic, who also won and was the recipient of the Sports Writer Award. Now, along with Chris, Rob Blackman was also a winner. And Rob, of course, a big-time friend of the show and the voice of the Boilermakers on the Boilermaker Radio Network for Hoop. Shout out to Rob on that, too. Now, Boilermakers tomorrow night get Washington. Hoosiers tomorrow night get Maryland. I was trying to work Don Fisher on the show today. Don is on a flight right now to Maryland. Don has been busy as heck, but absolutely is loving it. Maryland is a big game for IU on the road coming up tomorrow night, too, considering what they have coming up. And that starts with nationally ranked top 15 and looking legit Fred Hoiberg in Nebraska after that. Chris Ballard, by the way, if you're asking when he's going to meet with the media, 11 a.m. on Thursday, everybody. Is there anything that he can say where you go, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what? That's true. Is there anything Chris Ballard can say? There'll be, look at this and look at that. Look, it didn't work out. Look, our quarterback got injured. Look, we started out well. Look, we didn't end well again. There'll be a lot of looks in there, but is there anything beyond the looks that you're going to hear that could compel you to go, oh, yeah. I get that now. I completely understand. Just curious. Jason asked me this. Can you guys not get the audio fixed when I call it? Yeah, I can't do anything about it. All right? If it took me to plug in something, if there was insertion involved, I could do it. But in this case, I cannot. This is well over my head on this, Jason. Sorry about that. Now, one more time, Ballard is meeting with the media coming up on Thursday at 11 a.m. Bullseye has put together, if IU makes it to the national championship game, a party that we're all going to attend. We're going to party at the Diplomat? Whoa. I've only heard great things. I'll tell you all about that coming up a little bit later on as well. Butler Bulldogs, St. John's later on tonight, 6:30 coverage begins. That is on, 92.7 Fuego? Shout out to that. All right, we got some calls at 239-1070 to get to. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. And by the way, James, before I get to this, if you're watching in the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, get there right now. Check out this shirt because Ross in Plainfield, Ross Hetrick, and Alyssa put together this shirt for me and Brent Holverson for this year's Tavern Tour stops. So you know how I am with nostalgia. This is Brent Holverson, Grateful Dead, tie-dyed, because I kind of look like a package of Sweet Tarts because I'm so far away right here. Just a big package of Sweet Tarts. But they put this in like Grateful Dead tie-dye colors, did Ross, but it's got the Tavern Tour, Evan Williams Tavern Tour on the front, and on the back it's got all, let me turn around here, all the locations. And you know how I feel about concert T-shirts. It's got to be front and back. I mean, I kind of half-ass it sometimes too with just the front, and that's how you can tell you didn't actually attend the concert. Those that went to the show got concert tees there that have front and back. If you're like me and you got it at Kohl's, you didn't go to the show. Just saying. And I rock them all the time, too, and I'm a bit fraudulent. But Ross knows exactly what we're looking for, and the Tavern Tour stops all of our locations. And the dates are on the back of that. So, Ross, thank you very much. So, if you're wanting to know why I'm rocking this particular shirt, that is why. Ross put this together. It's absolutely outstanding. And cannot wait to get started with Brent coming up for 2026 once again. Tavern Tour stops and all that fun. Meantime, 239-1070 is the number. Let's start with Ryan today. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
How you doing, John?
Ryan, I'm outstanding. Thank you for the call.
So long time, lifetime sports fan of Indiana. Colts moved here the year I turned 1 year old. So grew up with Bobby Knight basketball, Gene Cady, Joe Tiller, and was at Purdue, Boiler Up. Kyle Orton's first year. Loving this Ignetti deal. Lot of parallels to Bobby down there. And Boiler Up basketball.
Are you actually on board with IU football as a Boilermaker fan?
Man, I tell you what, I root for Indiana sports no matter who
look
it
at
is
you. Some people would object to that entirely and say there's no way. Going back to Purdue in the national title game a couple of years ago against UConn, all the way to Friday night's semifinal matchup in Atlanta versus Oregon for IU. Some on either side would, Ryan, completely object to that.
Yeah, all right, yes, and I get it all the time. But my real issue is with the Colts. Of course, we've had this whole deal with Chris Ballard and the multiple coaches he's had, but I want to take it back to when we got Andrew Luck and Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians. Unfortunately, Chuck Pagano gets sick and Arians takes over. Obviously, then the rest of the league's looking at Arians. What happens if Arians remains as head coach and Andrew Luck's here for the duration? Where would we be today?
I don't know. I would expect that Andrew Luck would still have that. I'm really not down with long-term football. I want to do other things because I still think that listen, Bruce Arians was more of a gambler in calling offensive plays than anybody. So I would still think Andrew Luck's health would have been compromised because of how he played in a reckless fashion. Reckless, but sometimes certainly positive. So I would suggest the outcome with Luck would be relatively the same.
Well, I think we would probably got a ring or two, maybe.
Think so?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that group, I don't think ever got to the point where I felt it was going to be ring worthy or trophy worthy.
We still had a lot of holdovers from Dungy, and especially
there were moments. It was certainly better than the stuff we have to watch right now. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But, yeah.
And of course, look at what Bruce Arians did. He went to Arizona, was there for a couple of years, got fired because Arizona, quite frankly, sucks, and then went to Tampa with Tom Brady, ran the Tampa 2 defense perfectly, and got them a ring. Of course, you're also talking Tom Brady in the twilight of his career versus Andrew Luck in the, right at the beginning.
Well, I will say this, Ryan, with what you're saying, maybe with that hypothetical, we don't go through maybe if you changed one thing, we wouldn't have to go through that 3-ring circus that we've had to go through over the past 9+ years.
Yep, that sounds like exactly what I figured where it would go.
Yes.
So,
all right,
well,
right.
Man,
anything else?
That sounds like a good thing. I'll see you in May at the track.
Yes.
I hardly get out to the bars, one of those kind of deals. So, but I will definitely see you in May at the track. And, man, have a good weekend. Enjoy Hoosier football and Boiler Up basketball.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Ryan is the first fan that I could recognize that's cool with both sides of it. Hey, I like Purdue basketball, but I'm here for IU football. Because I thought about this the other day. We always make fun of I don't know if Kevin Bowen qualifies because he likes Notre Dame basketball, which is odd. Notre Dame basketball and football. He's just like Mr. Notre Dame. But most notably, the way that it used to be, you were an IU basketball fan and a Notre Dame football fan. Are there any Notre Dame fans that are for IU right now? Have you flipped at all because of this? I'll tell you what is odd. I was watching IU in Washington on Sunday night in Bloomington, and that place was a church. It was stone quiet. There's still a lot of work to be done there, and I know a lot of it is because it's an 8 o'clock start on a Sunday night and, made-for-TV stuff that would drive you nuts. But that place was quiet. It has tilted right now completely to IU football. Any Notre Dame fans out there rocking the reversible jacket the other way, as they used to say? Just out of curiosity. JMV, Ballard could admit he cannot put together a defensive line. Yeah, there's one thing that is going to change, the, defensive line philosophy. Personnel probably won't change too much. We'll see about Kwity Paye. Yeah, Kwity Paye is just kind of out there. You need more than out there. We've seen that this team defensively, especially up front, needs more than just being out there. When you describe somebody, yeah, he's out there, and, occasionally we'll make a play. Occasionally somebody will say his name. You got to be more than that. And then Leatu Latu is just a little bit higher grade of out there. A lot of work to be done there. JMV, what is Bruce Arians going to go out and play the O-line to stop Andrew's spleen from getting lacerated? What the hell is this guy talking about? I still think that you would get basically the same. Because the quarterback that left you, that decided enough was enough 2 weeks before the start of the season, did not have football in his heart. Other things on the mind. And I think we know this to be true right now. You have to be devoted to that at that level. You have to have that devotion, or simply put, not going to work. Shout out to Quantum Leap. I swear I watched one episode of my life of Quantum Leap, and it was a mixture of early 70s Indiana high school basketball and Vietnam. It was a two-parter, too. It must have been a special one, late 80s. I never watched that. BT writes this, JMV, will Bud and Sissy be on the show coming up on Friday? Bud and Sissy, obviously, from Urban Cowboy. We're going to be at Clayton's Country Bar on Friday. I would put Bud and Sissy on the show in a second. And hopefully they'd give each other, as they said in the film, the finger. That is one of the films. That is a cult classic. And that is a film that John Travolta decided to go with over An Officer and a Gentleman. Ouch. But I love it, though. So, yeah, Bud and Sissy with their little license plates, in the back. Yes, we would do that in a second. Clayton's Country Bar, a little pregame Peach Bowl party, and then we'll watch it there and have a great time. Clayton's Country Bar. That is coming up on Friday's show. Hope to see you there. The party is on. Meantime, 239-1070, and Ike is going to join the show coming up next. Hello, Ike. How are you?
How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Ike?
Hey, I just wanted to say the problem with the Colts can be fixed as easy as 1, 2, 3.
How we do that, Ike?
Simple Simon Miller timing. You have to go out and get a coach that knows what he's doing for the head coaching job. Once we do that, we'll be right back in the winning again. Until we do, we're going to be crying at the end of every season like we've been doing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of crying, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of crying because they're soaking in it right now, buddy. And you guys consequently are soaking in it too.
Yeah, well, I've been long enough to know that it comes and it goes. I've been in the house since back when we was a joke. But I got in the house, and I'm telling everybody that got tickets to hold on to them.
Ike, and I got news for you right now. The joke status that they once were, they're reclaiming that not so honorable name right now. I mean, they've become that. They are the Bengals and the Browns, kind of a mixture of that right now. Are they not?
Well,
are they? I mean, they're the bottom of the barrel right now. That's what they are. And the sooner you recognize that and understand it and not try to cloak yourself into what you're not, being better than you are, that's, I think, what somebody wants, and that's called what, Ike? That's called accountability, which organizationally, seemingly, they have zero of, unless it's a special occasion, like a Carson Wentz or a Reich whose time was over, or whatever. Morocco Brown, I guess, who just kind of disappeared from everything. There's been the occasional accountability, but one common denominator that's not been dealt with.
Yeah, well, once we get the right coach, we'll start winning right away. And all you have to do is just look at Bloomington. That's all you have to do if you want to, something that shows you what one good coach that knows what he's doing can do for a program.
Well, I would question whether or not Bloomington would have more financial stability right now, because this whole thing, and I thank you for the call, man. You call anytime. I don't know in terms of this being reality. But as I mentioned yesterday, and I told this to Stephen Holder, I felt that was a decision to move forward, this being the same old, as a convenient decision. And I look at that as also an angle of financial convenience. I think you can also look at it as, all right, you don't want to hire anybody else while you're paying somebody else not to do the job. You kind of wonder about the financial stability. And I'm not talking, they have money. They have money. Do they have NFL deep pockets like some of these other owners have? Those, I think, are all very logical questions to ask. Why wouldn't you ask that? Doug is right about this. If someone could go back, how about telling the Colts getting rid of Peyton Manning is a really bad idea? Yes, that would be it. Really bad idea. Randall's next, 239-1070. Hello, Randall. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I couldn't tune in yesterday. I got busy.
You got busy. But, that's no excuse, Randall.
I know it's. You'll have to, whack me with a hammer on my fingers when I show up to the next.
I'm a big time whacker, as you well know.
There you go. Hey, I got a little rant, and then I got another idea. The rant is we're down on the 4-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
We're down by 1. We shouldn't be kicking field goals to prevent the loss instead of winning. Considering how the word was out on the defense, how it wasn't very good. Considering Riley Leonard, how he played, yes, there were 3 turnovers. Brother, he throwed for 2, and I'm right, he ran for 2. Baby, I'm putting the ball in his hands. We're making a statement to the fans. At this point, the season's smoked. I mean, come on, you're not going to get nowhere if I'm right. Any better positioning in the NFL draft for next year? They don't have a first-round pick. They should have gave him the opportunity to win that game. Instead, the last play of the game was a play out of the old smear playbook, and that was ridiculous and despicable how that game ended. That showed right there how the last part of the season was. That could have all been averted very largely if they would have put the ball in Riley Leonard's hands. And the other idea that I'm out of here going to hear you talk, John Gruden. I know he's kind of a controversial man, Indiana native, ball boy, equipment manager for Bobby Knight. He knows how to think. Yeah, he says some things online and stuff ain't exactly politically correct, but you know what? Everybody says some stuff that's not politically correct, and I'm politically incorrect, so there you go. So that's what I think. I think they should have put the ball in Riley Leonard's hands, try to win the game. John Gruden should be the next coach. I'm out. Take care.
Randall, thank you very much. I will say this, going back to, the decision was made to push forward. I would have been all right with Steichen coming back. I don't think Steichen has, again, covered himself in glory by any stretch. But the one thing that he has done, you did see results with Daniel Jones with Shane Steichen. But doing the same thing that you've done, having 2 months outweigh 9 years, makes no sense to me. And that just, to me, tells fans out there, it speaks volumes that the results don't matter. So the results of 2 months, we have seen how much those 2 months how much does September and October matter now? Because you're going to be watching the postseason. You weren't playing for the postseason with 2 games remaining in the regular season. Those 2 months meant nothing. And it was great to get everybody excited, but face it, you would get excited about anything considering how this organization, how this team has been. I'm often talking about the lack of return on investment. That showed signs in those 2 months, but those 2 months don't equate to a season, and they sure as hell don't equate or outweigh the past 9 years. And if you find yourself logically being difficult or struggling with that decision in terms of how ridiculous it is, then you're right to feel that way. They can't tell you in one side the results matter and then continue with the same results, even if you took different means and different measures. Even if you showed a willingness to change, the fact remains that it didn't work. And that's where we are. Not everybody's out there for their pound of flesh and are thirsty to get somebody fired. But when it's gone on for 9 years and the results have been the same, that's reasonable. And in this case, the Colts aren't being reasonable. And you heard that yesterday in the presser, and then it was reiterated today in that letter to the fans. And that was sent out because they obviously saw that presser yesterday went over like the proverbial lead balloon. Quick break. Your calls on the other side. Denery at 5, I think, today, James. Correct. Cavaliers and Pacers tonight. I don't want to see a franchise record for consecutive losses. I think it was Showalter asked me this a little bit earlier today. Did you expect this team to be this bad? I did not expect them to be this injured, but I didn't expect them to be this bad. And while things could get really nice if this is a gap year in which you can get a high-level top 2, for example, type of pick, that is outstanding, and the return of Tyrese Halliburton, I can't sit here and tell you that losing 12 or 13 in a row makes me feel good about a damn thing. I'm sorry, I just don't. And believe me, these guys don't feel the same way. Try to talk to Pascal Siakam and see how long you last when you go, hey, how good do you feel about this? Because, next year, because these guys work, and speaking of no return on their investment, they're not seeing that either. So I understand that it could get bright, and that's the expectation after this year. But when you're a part of a losing streak that's unprecedented like this, that can't be and shouldn't be to a competitor an ounce of fun. Quick break. We'll return. James is there. I'm here. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Watch. Be a part of this show as well. Bullseye's got something for you. I shall explain. And we've got a road show coming up on Friday. Further explanation on the way. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. How are we doing out there? Or further, how is the interior of your home? You guys warm and comfortable? I know the temperature's a little bit warmer right now, but obviously you know it's not going to stay that way. So now is a great time to call my friends John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air at 317-353-2141 and check out exactly how the efficiency of your furnace, your heating unit, is doing right now. And for example, if there are some issues, if it needs a repair, then here's the JMV special. Say, hey, JMV sent me. And you can say, I don't like him, I think he sucks, or I love him, he's great, I like to go out and spend a party Friday with him, whatever. Mention my name. They're going to give you $95 off the service fee on that repair with Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141, the absolute best in the business. Kendra is awaiting your call right now at 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, welcome back to the show. Chris Denery coming up top of the hour. Sportscaster of the Year in the state of Indiana. Shout out to Chris for that. He and Rob Blackman. And James Boyd, with his broke-ass jump shot, is the Sports Writer of the Year. Outstanding dude, obviously. James Boyd of the Morning Show, 7 until 10 a.m. The Fan Morning Show. Hey, by the way, tomorrow on this show, Boomer Esiason is tomorrow. Danny Cannell is tomorrow. And I think Kevin's on the show tomorrow. I mentioned Adewale Ogunleye, the former Hoosier, I believe, is on the show on Thursday. And who else did we reach out to? I was trying to find, is anybody out there, James, did you ever make any headway on Von Dunbar? I was trying like hell to locate Von Dunbar.
I have not yet. I'm going to have to probably give that company a call later, maybe tomorrow, just to see if he can get it, because I don't think I'm going to have time before they're closed.
Von Dunbar is one of my favorite all-time college football players. I love Von Dunbar back in the day. Who else did I give you to? Oh, yeah, Deuce McAllister. Sorry, Deuce McAllister of the SEC Network, also does work for the New Orleans Saints. Had a great slogan when he was in college coming out of Ole Miss as a running back. They were promoting him for the Heisman Trophy Award, and it was called The Deuce is Loose. Deuce McAllister. I think that'd be good, too, considering the Ole Miss influence coming up on Thursday night in the Fiesta Bowl, Ole Miss and Miami. And I actually reached out to Hagan because our friend, the late Walter Payton's son, Jared Payton, is a good friend with Hagan. He attended Miami, and the Hurricanes, obviously a part of that semifinal party on Thursday, the Fiesta Bowl against Ole Miss, and we'll see if we can't work something out there. Also, before I get back to the phones at 239-1070, I've got this for you. So, bullseye, and this is if IU wins on Friday and advances to the national title game. This is a fully refundable 3-night package. Buy now to lock in your space. If the Hoosiers win, you're in. If they lose, it's 100% refundable. So if Indiana reaches college's biggest game, South Florida, Bullseye Event Group takes you there, and I'll be there with you. Round-trip airfare, 3-night hotel accommodations, exclusive pregame events, game day transportation, and a ticket to the championship game. If IU does not advance, your booking is fully refundable. And you get the entire Bullseye experience party-wise down there. And then you get the entire JMV with Bullseye experience party-wise down there. So, yeah, buckling up would be mandatory. BullseyeEventGroup.com. They're going to fire this bad boy up coming up tomorrow, just so you know. That is fun. JMV, the Dolphins organization, in the last 20 years have done one thing better than the Colts organization. They fired their general manager and retained their coach, Matty Matt. JMV, as to releasing Peyton Manning, the football gods are working against the Colts for what they did. Certainly would have been better off had that never taken place, and I mean across the board. JMV, this is from the text line of 317-239-1070. Probably a bit premature for this question since we still have the entire Colts offseason. But what feels more hopeless? The 25-26 Pacers season knowing Tyrese is gone, or the 2026 Colts season without draft picks, a quarterback, etc.? I can tell you this. For me and for others, you're going through a 12 and hopefully not 13 game losing skid, which is unprecedented for the Pacers. Tonight would mark that if they lose at home to the Cavaliers. But this being known as a gap year, and rightly so, because Tyrese Halliburton is gone, and then you were met with all these injuries. Do I think they should be playing better? Absolutely. Would I expect them to be playing better? Absolutely. But if they come up with, for example, a top 2, top 3 selection in the draft, if they're able to go out and find a half-assedly decent big, Anybody, anywhere, if you're able to put those pieces back together, additional pieces and those pieces back together, there is no comparison between the Colts and the Pacers next year. I know already how you're going to start out in terms of the Colts. But this is like writing something off of this Pacers season. You're writing this off, right? You go, hey, whatever. I know. I don't know what a write-off is. You're right. Seinfeld reference. But you're writing this season off right now. And, you know, you're hoping. Like, I haven't heard entertaining losses, which I'm glad. You don't even need to be entertained of these losses. You just go, yeah, if they lose and they end up getting a high draft selection and Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan make the right call, i.e. listen to me for that call and then make that call, if they do that, then you're right back on track. And in fact, we'll be in a better spot. Get a little bit younger, but also bringing some guys back. Does that make any sense to you at all? Cool. So the Colts seem now to me both hopeless and helpless. That's an incredibly bad spot. 239-1070 is that number. Hey, James, I don't have my phone in front of me. Who's up next here, would you? Thank you. That is operator error. My bad. Tell me who's up next at 239-1070.
We got Bobby.
Hello, Bobby. Thank you for the call. How are you?
Oh, not bad. I appreciate you taking my call.
You got it, Bobby.
Right before the break, you made a comment that Ballard couldn't put together a defensive line. I question his ability to put together an offensive line.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You look back at the year, the first 8 games, our offensive line playing against nobody's defense. And I mean, nobody great defensive teams, no great defensive lines, and they allowed less than 20. They allowed 20 sacks in the first 8 games. Last 9, they allowed 32. And the last game against Houston, there was twice that Quentin Nelson should have been the quarterback, because when they get the ball to Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson's sitting in Jonathan Taylor's on his lap. His ass was being pushed back all the way back to where he had the ball. Jonathan Taylor had the ball handed to him. Our offensive line sucks. They're overpaid. They're not very good. And for Quentin Nelson, it's a lot of the talking heads and all of the people in the beginning. They talked about how Quentin Nelson pancaked people and stuff like this. Quentin Nelson gets pancaked now, and everybody says how he got elected to his 8th in a row Pro Bowl.
Yes. Well, and let me tell you this: you're Bobby. You're not wrong about, and this has been an angle in which we've all overlooked, considering how our anger has been focused someplace else. Our conversation someplace else. But the offensive line, you're right. I mean, it went downhill, and you're talking left tackle Bernard Ryman, Quentin Nelson, Bortolini, Gonzalez, and then Jalen Travis was in, and obviously Braden Smith is probably not going to be back, and Travis is going to be the starter, I would guess, at right tackle. That has been lost entirely in the shuffle, is that offensive line basically flushing itself down the toilet.
As soon as they had somebody punch him in the mouth, and it started with Pittsburgh, as soon as they had somebody punch him in the mouth, they sat there and wanted to take their ball and they wanted to go home. On account, ever since Pittsburgh, they have not been worth a hoot. And
well, you can ask Jonathan Taylor about how things went for him in the latter portions of the season, and that tells you all you need to know.
First 9 games, there was MVP talk,
right?
There was Offensive Player of the Year talk, and the last 9 games. Could you find 28? Yeah, you could find him. He's usually in the background, getting in the backfield, getting tackled. There was no 30-yard runs or anything in the last 9 games for Jonathan Taylor, thanks to our offensive line. And it's kind of hard to get started when you got the defensive lines in your huddle.
That is, hey, Bobby, thank you very much for the call. That is a really good take, because that is something we have not talked about. I think we talked about every angle in terms of just both head coach and organizationally what you're bringing back, and believing in September and October. But the fact that this offensive line went right down the drain. And what has also been a signature of all of these teams is nightmarish endings to seasons. A lot of the same personnel, but even some different personnel. You can always count on it. And that's what this group has been about. But no, Bobby, the offensive line, incredibly problematic. No, you're right. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Denery, top of the hour. More on the Bullseye trip. You guys down with that program? I think I'll do a show down there live from what I've heard as well. Can you imagine how much fun? All you have to do is get IU to win on Friday. All right? It's kind of it's a win and they're in. It's a win and we're in too. I want to be in. I'll explain that from Bullseye coming up a little bit later on as well. Chris Denery also on the show a little bit after 6 we go coming up later on tonight. We've got a busy week for you. Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday. A pre-Peach Bowl experience, a party for you. And then what the hell, might as well we'll stay around there and watch the game. Maybe I'll do a halftime show on the stage for you and do that. Devil Went Down to Georgia. Quick break. We'll come back. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Hey, James, who is that taking a picture of the building out there right now? Do you know who that was?
I don't even think I can see him right now.
Didn't he? He was taking a picture of the building. 239-1070 is that number. If you want to get there, you can. 93.5-107.5 The Fan. All of your plumbing needs met at the highest, the elite levels with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. I've been a part of this for a number of years now. Lance and his local team at 317-927-7186. They're always teaching me something about how things can be better. And what they have taught me now this time of year is do not have a compromised drain anywhere. Make sure that you are clog-free this time of year with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. And if you think you are, if you've got some plumbing issues, those that can easily handle it the way that you want, you can always count on. That's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Talk to Lance. Tell him I sent you. The absolute best in plumbing. It's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. 317-927-7186 online. That's ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Excuse me, Robo. Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
Stay out of trouble. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Quick shout out to my friend Dan Huber. But he says you should talk with Fred Khalil this week. Retired television guy. If you guys remember Fred Khalil, he was back in the Mark Patrick era of Wish TV Channel 8. Back when they had network affiliation. Remember then they were a CBS affiliate. And they came up with, I want to say that was the first one. It was the Wish TV Channel 8 Sports Locker on Sunday night. And then everybody had a Sunday night. 13 had the Sports Jam and what RTV6 have like Sports Nuts or something like that. And then 59 Overtime is That's where I'm a part of right now. They continue that. But Fred Khalil, according to Dan, retired TV guy, IU grad, walk-on linebacker under Lee Corso back in the 70s and the 80s. He did attend a Rose Bowl and is going to Atlanta on Friday. Great guy. I've got Fred Khalil. James, that's not a bad idea right there. Dan Huber producing the show. Dan, by the way, used to be a great, fantastic sports producer for both Channel 13, WTHR, and Dave Calabro, and going back to those days at Wish TV, Channel 8. Now does a great job in the real estate business. Shout out to Dan Huber. We'll do that with Fred Khalil. You guys all remember Fred Khalil, right? Sports Locker days were great. When you had Fred Khalil and you had Mark Patrick and Dick Ray, and then Mark always called Dick Ray the Dick Ray, which was awesome. Robin Miller, the late Robin Miller, was a part of that too. Great days indeed. I mentioned Butler and St. John's coming up later on tonight. That's on 92.7 Fuego at 6:30. And a win that Butler absolutely needs against the Johnnies. Top 25 matchups. Number 2, Michigan, Dusty May on the road at State College versus Penn State tonight at 7. It is number 7, Houston. Number 14, Texas Tech tonight at 9. Number 6, Duke. Number 20, Louisville. Done at the Yum Center tonight at 7 o'clock. Texas, number 21, Tennessee. TCU, number 22, Kansas, all a part of the collegiate schedule coming up later on tonight. Purdue tomorrow against Washington at Mackey Arena. IU on the road tomorrow. They're taking on the Terrapins of Maryland. Is Miles Price? There's been a lot of Miles Prices, I know, go through Bloomington. Miles Price, is he on that Maryland team that used to be with Mike Woodson and the Hoosiers? The guard Miles Price that started, I want to say, at Washington State. He's been in college hell longer than me. I think that's the Miles Price on their team. If he's on that roster, James, let me know. Just trying to give you a common denominator, I think, here for the Maryland Terrapins coming up tomorrow night. IU, Maryland, Purdue, and Washington. Of course, we'll talk that up coming up tomorrow as well. Clayton's Country Bar, that is on Friday. We'll be down there. A little pre-Peach Bowl party for you. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the bullseye effect that we got working for you, too. Line 2, is that Lori, James, at 239-1070? Hello, Lori. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Outstanding, Lori. Thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Okay. I am a transplanted New Englander. Been out here a long time. And obviously you know who I'm rooting for. But sure. I have been trying to root for the Colts, JMV. And the biggest question I have is, why do the Colts settle for mediocrity? Why?
Yeah, I mean, we would have to ask them that. Because they have misguided belief in what they have accomplished and their ability to back up what they tell us they're going to do. I can't remember the last time they've done that. Because it's funny, Lori, somebody just mentioned, and I'll get to this in a second, that, hey, the Colts got to stop lying to us. Honestly, exactly. And I know a lot of people by now say, well, stop lying to us. I just don't think they know who they are, and they always talk about who they are in terms of who they aren't. You know what I mean? They expect to be something that they're not capable of being, and that has been the better part of 9 seasons here. That similar phraseology I just used is appropriate for most of those seasons. You think you are what you're not. And until they recognize and find that out, because you mentioned New England, I mean, they've gone down, been back up, and with Mike Vrabel, I probably know they know who they are right now. You know, certainly Houston has an identity with DeMeco Ryans. It seems like Liam Cohen in his rookie season in Jacksonville has given the Jaguars an identity. The Colts are listless, and more so than that, seem very clueless in trying to find that.
Exactly, because you know what? This is what I find, is that with the Patriots, we had some few years where we were down, but we weren't satisfied being down. I'm not used to losing. You guys take losing. I listened to the coach. Well, we lost, but I thought the guys played pretty good, and we did. And I'm like, well, you freaking lost.
Correct.
You lost. Okay? Let's not turn it around. You lost. I've never heard Bill Belichick turn a loss into anything positive.
Not well, and that's until that's called accountability. That's called accountability.
Exactly.
Until you have accountability, that's going to be the issue, and that's why nobody buys what they're trying to sell to you about pushing this thing forward with the same group next year. Lori, anything else?
I just have one more question.
Yes.
What did you gain for next year by hiring Phillip Rivers? Tell me what you gained.
You had like 1 week of, hey, that's feel good. He's 44 years old, but you had the same outcome as you would have had Riley Leonard played. Yeah, you accomplished nothing. You gave a feel good to some, and you were embarrassing in that decision to others.
I know, and I watched that last game of Phillip Rivers, and you know what? They were so enamored with the high school football team on the sideline. Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's what you're into? I'm like, let Riley play. Let's see what he's got so we can go into next year.
You got it. Well, and Lori, thank you for the call. I don't necessarily if it's going to be like that, but I think you now rethink that considering what took place. Miles Rice is the guard that was here, that was at Washington State previously, that is now in Maryland. I think the Terrapins are, 7-7 on the season? So certainly nothing outstanding right there. Yeah, it's weird. I watched Miles Rice play for Washington State, and he looked completely different than he did ever in any of the games at IU. It's still going as he's moved on to Maryland. I'm going to tell you what, the portal, I think I do a solid job of keeping track of it, but it is damn straight hard to keep track of, especially with the former players. I didn't know that the Tucker kid played for Washington. The former Hoosier played for Washington the other night. You're going to play the Boilers coming up tomorrow night. You need a scroll to keep track of all this. Denery on the other side. Bullseye information coming up for you. If you're on hold, more of your calls at 239-1070. A Tuesday with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, you guys are great. Thank you all for joining us. Clayton's Country Bar. That's coming up on Friday. Who's going to join us? Who wants to go on stage with me? We'll be like Brooks and Dunn. Boot, scoot, boogie. Here we go. Do-si-do. Did I get that right? What is it? What's Dunn's name? Kix Brooks, right? K-I-X. God, I'm embarrassed. I know this crap. Kix Brooks, Brooks and Dunn, Boot, Scoot, Boogie.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Isn't that what you guys watch season 2? This is going to nerd me out right here. You guys ready for the host of this show to be nerded out? The Real World season 2, Los Angeles. They had some hillbilly from Owensboro, Kentucky on the show named John that fancied himself as a country singer. And I think he did Boot Scoot Boogie. Maybe it was a Garth Brooks song back then. He's the one in the background. If you ever see the intro, true story. I mean, he sounds like your prototypical Hill Jack country music guy.
I can't say I've ever seen one single episode of
I can't believe I just let the world know, or 5 listeners, that I'm a huge nerd. I actually sent a resume in for the Real World LA.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get anything back. I sent 2 things to LA back during that era. It was a resume for the Real World, clearly rejected, and I sent my resume and I sent JMV 88's audition tape to Kiss FM in Los Angeles, and I'm sure that they probably still sit around and laugh about that. They probably sit around and, hey, where's that TDK that jackass from Indiana sent in back in the early 90s? Let's listen to that again. Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Let's celebrate our next guest here. Once again, I believe 2-time winner, maybe more. I know 2 times in the last handful of years. He is the winner of the National Sports Media Association Sportscaster of the Year in the state of Indiana. Shares that award along with friend of the show, Rob Blackman. It is Chris Denery who joins us now. Congratulations, buddy.
Hey, thanks, John. Very much appreciated. And we have a lot of talent in this state, and we have a lot of talent on our telecasts, and I couldn't do it without everybody that's involved, Quinn and JJ and Eddie and all of those people and our crew behind the scenes. So I'm very flattered. Growing up, going to high school at Westfield and then going to Wabash. I mean, you sort of dream about what your career could be, and it's been really, really cool. So I'm very appreciative. And I heard you talking about, and I heard Greg Rakestraw, with some of the issues that you've had with the sound. If you need me to bring a 1988 cassette of Chandler Thompson and Muncie Central against Sean Kemp and Concord, I think I would fit right in because my voice would probably be a little bit different than it is today.
Did you say Sean Kemp with the drop step dunk? Well, once upon a time, Chandler Thompson jumped over a Honda in the park and had a dunk.
I've got that cassette, and I did those games with my dad, and it was
great.
Just a treasure to be able to work with my dad. So, but yeah, my voice would be a little bit like what's happening to some of your callers.
Yeah, well, and it's still that's like Wolfman Jack level compared to what I sounded like with JMV 88 and my audition tape with the Southern Indiana draw and the lisp working right there.
Well, on Sunday in Orlando, I've been battling my voice a little bit. It feels a lot better today, but I had a couple Peter Brady moments, I think, Sunday in Orlando. So, my goal tonight for the Cleveland game is no Peter Brady moments on air. Keep the deepness of the voice.
It's a tough year, right? And I know that the players have it tougher because they want to compete and they want to see the fruits of their labor, equate to wins. And the coaching staff, you want to see wins, and it's tough because clearly, they're compromised roster-wise this season, and we knew that going in. But how difficult is it as a broadcaster? to deal with 12 straight losses and the type of season, especially coming off of the incredible season that we witnessed a year ago?
It's a lot more work. I mean, Quinn Buckner will tell you this is when we sort of earn our money, because it's not as easy as it is when your team is rolling and having championship aspirations. And I think the other thing is, John, I've been through this before. I mean, Rick Carlisle's last year, the first time, was my first year, and the Pacers lost 11 in a row then. And if you remember, after the Tyrese Halliburton trade was made a few years ago, the Pacers lost their last 10 of the year and only won 25 games. So you sort of forget those moments after you've lived through the last 2 years, going to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, beating the Knicks in Game 6 here, and just, to me, was one of the most memorable experiences I'll ever have. And I wasn't calling the game. I was just here as a fan. So, yeah, it's difficult, but these guys are fighting as best they can. I mean, you look at Pascal Siakam, he's doing everything he can to get a win. I mean, the last 5 games, he's averaging 27 points and shooting 55%. And they just have not been able to put complete games together. They've been very good out of the gate, but they've really struggled in second quarters. You've used 24 different players this year. We're not even halfway through the season. You had a lot of guys out early, and now you've got Benedict Mathurin out. But as Rick Carlisle says, look, we're not going to make excuses. We need to be better, and we need to find a way to win games.
Yeah, it's Chris Denery, voice of the Pacers. Cavaliers coming up later on tonight. 6:30 for the radio coverage right here, 6:30, assuming for the television coverage as well. That tip time is at the Fieldhouse tonight at 7 o'clock. So, obviously you're searching for any light at the end of the tunnel. That's one thing, but you're also living in the moment. Give me your assessment of some good things that have transpired, along with certainly just a lot of unprecedented losing that we have seen with this team recently. Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I think recently the offense has been much better. I mean, they've been dead last in points, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage for most of the year. It is starting to improve. I mean, the other night in Orlando, they shot 55% from the field, did a nice job from three-point range, I think made 15 and shot 40%, had 38 assists. But the defense wasn't good enough, and you give up 135 points. So the one thing that I would say, John, is that this team, especially with the return of like Aaron Nesmith and Ben Shepherd, this team is much better offensively today than it was 2 weeks ago. And so you just hope that's enough to carry them into a situation where they can win some games.
Yeah. Is there anything you look around the landscape of the East, anything surprise you? Anything impress you? Because I like you, I still watch a lot of NBA, and I texted you last night. I was watching the Hornets and OKC play, and a little bit of the Rockets and the Suns. But anything, in this case in particular, in the Eastern Conference, impress you, surprise you so far about this season?
Well, I think we knew that Detroit was going to be pretty improved, and they're leading the East. They're very young. You got to give Boston and Joe Mazzulla a lot of credit because, without Jason Tatum and with all the roster changes that Brad Stevens made, they're number 2 in the East right now. The team that's in the building tonight, I guess, has been a disappointment. They're 20-17. Right now they're 8th in the East, so they're not even in the top 6, Cleveland. They're in the second play-in spot. I think last year at this point they were 34-5, and it's do that again. And so it's just going to be interesting to see, how teams adapt. Orlando has played a number of games without Franz Wagner, and I really like their team. We saw them twice last week. And the Pacers are in a tough stretch, John. 11 of the 15 games are against teams 500 or better. And one of those teams that's under 500, they play Thursday in Charlotte. Charlotte just beat Oklahoma City by like 30 last night at OKC. So, I just think, as Rick Carlisle says, look, it's tough to win games. They really appreciate what they accomplished last year, but last year is last year. And you've got to focus on what's ahead, and that's trying to win some games here right now.
Yeah, the one thing that may surprise you is the fact that Brooklyn seemed like it would be a single-digit win team throughout the season, and they're 11-22, which is not great, but I think 11 wins at this point in the season is good for that particular roster.
Yeah, especially I think those two teams have gotten a little bit away from the Pacers, Brooklyn and Washington. Washington's had a couple of wins here of late that have been pretty impressive. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to look, at the standings. And for me, as I'm putting my chart together, it's a little bit surreal to write down 6-30. I mean, it really is. I mean, think about it. The Pacers have lost as many games right now as they lost all of last year. And I think we all knew the season would be difficult. I don't think we thought it would be like this, but you've also lost 203 man games due to injury, and that's the most by far of any team in the NBA. And just when you get Neesmith and Shepard back, all of a sudden here's Benedict Matherin's shell for a while. So definitely no breaks have come the Pacers' way here in the 25-26 season.
He is Chris Denery, the voice of the Pacers. Tonight, 7 o'clock from the Fieldhouse, the Cavaliers and the Pacers. And this is not the lone reason why the Cavaliers have been disappointing at 2017 so far. But, one of the really good players throughout the season that you could count on making positive plays, meaning helping translate the wins, is Max Strus. And he's going to miss another month, I think, with a broken foot. I think that's been – it's not the biggest of deals, but I think dynamically speaking with that roster, it's been a big deal for them to deal with.
Oh, no question. Quinn Buckner and I were just talking about that. He has a Jones fracture, and those are very, very tough to manage and tough to heal. And, he's one of those guys. He's a really good three-point shooter. He's a connector. Quinn and I talk on the broadcast a lot, and when the Pacers didn't have both Neesmith and Shepard for so long, those guys are two of your best defenders. They can make threes, and they can connect your offense. And that's exactly what Max Strus does with Cleveland. So they've definitely missed him, and as you just said, he's going to be out another month.
Yeah, that's tough. Injuries certainly are going to be a part of it, but that is certainly tough. And the Pistons, you knew that the Pistons were on the rise, and they've been every bit of it. But I would give you the Celtics, too. The Celtics, without Tatum and how they've responded, they still have one of the better players in the league in Jaylen Brown, without question. But the way they've responded with a lot of those new faces has been pretty impressive.
It has. And John, think about Detroit. This is the same group with some guys sprinkled in, Tobias Harris and some veterans. It's the same group that I think, lost 28 in a row a couple of years ago. So these guys have lived and learned, and now they're sitting atop the East.
Trade deadline's going to be interesting, too. You talk about Atlanta with Trae Young. You look out west and what the Clippers will end up doing. Anthony Davis, also another guy. And we'll see what the Kings end up doing. There's some teams out there that are going to unload some individually talented guys. Going to be interested to see where they end up landing.
Yeah, it will be. We're inside a month now. February 5th is the date. And, it'll be interesting to see. A lot of it's going to be based on where teams are from a cap perspective, what kind of salaries can you take in or give back out. Some people say it's going to be very active. Some people say it won't be. It'll be fascinating to see what will happen here in the next month.
I know you got to run here. Congratulations on the award. And obviously, as good as it gets, doing play-by-play here for the Pacers or anywhere, it's Chris Denery on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Again, congratulations on that honor today.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks very much.
You got it. Chris Denery on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. It is the National Sports Media Association Sportscaster of the Year. He shares that honor with Rob Blackman, voice of the Boilermakers, and James Boyd, friend of the show, of the Fan Morning Show, and lover of pickup hoop and plays more than just occasionally with us. James Boyd, the winner for Sports Writer. Man, James Boyd, above all else, James can play for one, but he likes to play, and you can count on him when he says he's going to show up, he doesn't bail at the last minute. Nothing's going to get me as pissy as last-minute bailage. Cannot have it. Robbie writes this, JMV, has anyone explained the weird praise on the decision to bring in Rivers? Sure, it was a fun story, but the guy literally won 0 games on the offense, was abysmal. It was like a terrible decision. That's why I mentioned a little bit earlier. Some were caught between especially the first week. Hey, it's a great story, a 44-year-old coming back after 5 years and pushing back his status for the Hall of Fame to play and to try to keep this team afloat. And then others were thinking, oh, really? How embarrassing is that? And it was still a similar result. And that's what you're used to with this particular group. And certainly that's what you want to get out of. 239-1070 is that number. Is Sam on line 5 for me right here? Sam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, JMV, can you hear me?
I got you, Sam. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, so I wanted to talk about something positive for once.
Why don't you?
It's been 8 years of this BS with Broward and everything. I think we should hammer in on Cignetti and the Hoosiers. A little biased, but I think something not many people are talking about in this game for the second time around is how the fact is, if you look at both of the coordinators for Oregon, they both took jobs at the P5 level, I'm pretty sure, for head coaching. And if you think about it, with the portal open, those guys are having to juggle that for their new team they're going to, as well as trying to scout Indiana. But then on the Indiana side, Haynes and Shanahan, they're both already locked in for SIG next year. So they're all in on Oregon. And if I'm being honest, you got 3 psychopaths recruiting and scheming against Oregon. I just think this game might be a lot better this time around, and it's on a quote-unquote neutral site. But I was out there in Pasadena. It was Memorial Stadium West, and I think they're going to travel even better this week, knowing they're one game from a natty.
It is going to be, if they win, we're all going to South Florida, right? You know that. The party's going to be in South Florida.
Got the flights booked and everything. I'm ready to go, JMV.
I'm going to lead that thing with Bullseye, too. So if IU wins on Friday in the Peach Bowl, they advance to the national championship game. Bullseye's putting together a package and a party down there that we're all going to go to. So I get to lead the way and party in South Florida, which is dangerous.
Yeah. No, and then kind of don't want to foreshadow anything either, but really I think a cool fact that I heard someone else speak to a while ago was that if Indiana can, and I hope they do, they run the table and win it all, it'd be 50 years to the year that IU did that in basketball, too.
Right. That'd be incredible, would it not? Going back to 1976 in basketball and then, doing something as improbable as what you could accomplish with that. I mean, the unthinkable stuff that hopefully becomes, certainly being at the elite level in football becomes consistently, commonplace being thought of like this, because it enhances absolutely everything if your football program is like this. There's no question.
Oh, and I'm not sure if you know any Purdue fans, John, but the ones in my family, they won't talk football with me. They literally hate what's going on right now. So
right.
I just can't wait. If they can get 2 more wins, Purdue fans better go into hiding because it's going to get worse.
You got it. Hey, Sam, thanks for the call. I appreciate that positivity from you right there.
Yes, sir. Go Hoosiers.
John Harbaugh canned by the Ravens. Yeah, if you're asked, yes, in a heartbeat. A heartbeat. Adam Schefter says he is now expected to become the top head coaching candidate in this hiring cycle. Multiple teams are now expected to be interested in hiring him, and his presence is expected to have big ramifications. Would you go ahead and wash this thing out and hire him here right now?
Absolutely.
Oh, my God, in a second. I'm not the only one, or we're not the only people that would do that, would we? Are we the only ones?
I would guess that a lot of Colts fans would gladly take Harbaugh right now.
It would seem like that is exactly the type of all-encompassing personality that is necessary here.
There's no chance that they would change their mind after doing the press conference and releasing the thing saying Ballard and Steichen are coming back.
There's going to be multiple teams that are probably already saying, bring it on. To me, that would be one dude where I would say, yep, drop everything, bring him in. Who's with me on that? Like, drop absolutely everything. Bring him in. What would the inspiration be if all of a sudden there was like a moonwalk? All right, so you know what we're going to go ahead and do this. That'd be a way to probably win back most of, if not all, the fan base that certainly has left right now. Oh, I know it's crazy talk and it's not going to happen, but I think we're allowed to deal with hypotheticals if we want. There's no way that I'm the only one that would feel that way, right? JMV, let's not ruin Harbaugh's career. Why would he want to come here if Ballard is here? Listen, it's a hypothetical for a reason, because it doesn't make sense and because it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that type of personality, like when you mention this team, this organization as being not about results, with the just schleprock description of mediocrity being at really its highest level, with obviously no accountability, certainly no accountability where it matters, and a fan base that is like dragging ass to a level in which I have never seen. That'd be it. That'd be it, and that's that. John Harbaugh is out as head coach of the Ravens. So, the availability right here of these teams, the Giants, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, Browns. By the way, if he ends up in Tennessee, that would be jacked up. That's all you need right there. Giants, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, Browns, and Raiders. Does anybody else out there jettison their head coaches to get a shot at this? Does anybody go, okay, that's enough, we want a shot at this? Go ahead.
I'm just wondering how. I mean, Kevin Stefanski was the hot name on the market, and now all of a sudden he's been bumped back to one. So I'm sure he's not too thrilled.
Telling you, like starting out, like you're going in. Remember the movies, and you got these big releases coming out on Memorial Weekend, and it's like, you got Top Gun coming out, and then all of a sudden 2 days later, Star Wars comes out. Bang. I know you're going to say you're trying to make John Harbaugh out to be like Vince Lombardi, and I'm not, but he is top shelf. And you cannot deny that his personality alone would be necessary, especially here. And you look at the landscape of the availability of head coaching right now with teams around the NFL. You imagine that dude ended up in Tennessee? So you got DeMeco Ryans with the Texans. Obviously the right direction. You got things pushed forward in the right direction now with Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. And then for whatever reason, John Harbaugh would decide to go to Nashville and be the head coach of the Titans, where you were already fortunate that they were stupid enough to go ahead and let Mike Vrabel push him out, and now he's in New England. It's already tough enough within this division for this Colts team looking to do this all over again. That'd be ridiculous. Look at everybody's on board with my take on this. So you just throw things in reverse, double back and say, things have changed dramatically now. And we have decided to ... Quick break. Your calls on the other side. Remember, we go until a little bit after 6 tonight. We're going to get you into the Colts update. We'll get you into Butler and St. John's from Hinkle Fieldhouse later on tonight as well. That's on Fuego, by the way. 92.7 Fuego at 6:30. But here, Cavaliers and Pacers, 6:30 pregame coverage, 7 o'clock your tip time. Don't go anywhere. Your calls, your text line messages, and more all coming up. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Great idea for you. So you're losing your hair, fellas. You just noticed that in the mirror, or maybe this has been an ongoing process and you've yet to do anything about it. Now, if you want to be bald, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing. I'm sure you're going to look great bald. But if you want to do something about it, you want your real growing hair back again, 317-522-2995. That's Darren Andrews at WeGrowHairIndy.com. I am the greatest example of lettuce regrowth, really of all time right here. I can do anything I want with this hairdo. I can go back in the day. I can do something right now. I can pilot. I'm trying to do my Iceman in honor of the late, great Val Kilmer in Top Gun. That's what we're trying to pull off the Top Gun to make my face longer right now. I can do it. It may sound ridiculous, but I can do it because of my real growing hair. Thanks to Darren Andrews and WeGrowHairIndy.com. You can as well. Whatever you want, you have those options in your real hair growth. 317-522-2995. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Collect them, trade them, or just enjoy them.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Next on the list would be?
Well, I would say Vegas, but like that cuts both ways because if you get Fernando Mendoza, and in my opinion, someone like Kurt Signetti, who I think would be a fascinating hire, that could be truly transformational. So we'll see how that goes. I think there's a lot of work.
Wait. Hold on. You're talking about a package deal for the Raiders with Kurt Signetti.
Dan, who says no? Who says no? When you go back over the last 40 years, and nobody knows this better than you do in North American sports, and you think about the transformational coaching jobs, we could talk about Mike Krzyzewski leaving West Point and creating Duke basketball. You could talk about Jim Calhoun going from Northeastern to UConn men's basketball. You could talk about Gino Auriemma and women's basketball. But when you think about where they've been for over 100 years and what he's done in 2 years, I say this a lot, the data is overwhelming that college coaches fail, but what in Kurt Signetti's background would lead you to believe that he wouldn't be successful?
Mike Tannenbaum, the former general manager, on the Dan Patrick Show this morning, floats an idea. That's not a report, so all you fans don't completely crap your pants. But floats the idea of a Raiders package deal with Fernando Mendoza and Curt Cignetti. True story. Now, again, it's Mike Tannenbaum, so take it for what it's worth. But I thought I'd play that for you. Get the juices flowing a little bit. Hey, by the way, the Ravens, in case you missed this, fired John Harbaugh today. So most Colts fans out there are calling for Carly Ursay-Gordon to get back in front of the microphone and take back everything that has been said in the past 48 hours and point this bad boy in a different Harbaugh-led direction. And not Jim Harbaugh either, but John Harbaugh. And I have not found one person out here that would disagree with that hypothetical. Yeah, we know it's not going to happen. Now, one person disagrees. Well, why would you disagree? That's the type of personality that would be necessary. Not going to happen. Of the vacancies right now, of the vacancies that you currently have throughout the NFL, what would make the most sense? And you may get now more vacancies for a team that would really double down and want John Harbaugh to lead their program. You know, including the Ravens, where he is now out, the Giants, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, Browns, and Raiders. If you're the Dolphins, do you get rid of your head coach and then just give John Harbaugh decision-making power all the way around? If you're Arthur Blank, do you do that with the Falcons? Hey, here's the package deal for you right here. The Falcons got some pieces. I know. The Titans, probably not. But here's another hypothetical for you. Already in a division with two teams going to the postseason and two teams that are miles in front of the Colts right now, and the Texans and the Jaguars that seemingly have a lot of things figured out, have their own identity, know who they are, and play like it. So you would add a coach of that level, that consequence, to a Tennessee rudderless boat. That's problematic too. Just saying. John Harbaugh out as head coach of Baltimore, and Colts fans want a reboot, a redo of a presser, or a letter to the fans. Yeah, here's a different letter to the fans. After thinking about this even longer, and with circumstances beyond our control, we've decided to go ahead and do something different. Does make sense, though, doesn't it? Not going to happen, though. Bill's on line 4 at 239-1070. Bill, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, JMV, looking forward to Friday down there at Titans. Looking forward to kicking the weekend off. And then
yeah. Hey, Billy, I don't think your phone is not compatible, I don't think, with our crappy Wi-Fi right now. Is that his phone or is that our crappy Wi-Fi? Oh, it's his phone? Okay. I take back the crappy Wi-Fi reference. See if Billy's still there. Billy? Because we had Billy problems last time with his phone. J-Law says, send the Mayflower trucks to Baltimore again. Bring the coach. Frank says, I mean, we took Baltimore's team once. Can't we take their coach now, especially if they just give it away? True story. Tyler says, if the Colts fired both of them and brought in Harbaugh, I will eat my shoe on live stream. Shoe eater, Tyler, on live stream. That alone should be motivation enough to get this done. Indiana Sports Watcher suggests, I don't think Carly knows how to fire and hire, but I love the Harbaugh idea. It's such a pipe dream. Billy's back. Billy, are you better right now?
I do believe I am. I'm moving back into position. And can you hear me all right?
You were compromised in that last position. You sound much better now.
Well, as usual, my signal doesn't always reach the auditory part of my.
Tell me all about it, brother. Tell me all about it. What do you got?
But hey, number one, I believe when IU signed Kirk Cignetti's extension, they put in the contract pretty much that it was going to be very, very difficult for him to leave. And so I know it's not impossible, and everything is possible in college sports. I get it, but I don't think that I don't think the gal that's running the show down there in Bloomington is going to let that go on. So
no, that was like Mike Tannenbaum bringing that up. So it's meaningless, but I thought I would play it just for S's and G's, if you will.
Yeah, that didn't sit well with my morning coffee. But you had mentioned Val Kilmer a little bit earlier in the movie Tombstone. He always used that phrase, "Isn't that a daisy?" And this Friday at Clayton's Country Bar, we're to be using the phrase, "Isn't that a peach?" Because I'm planning on hanging out and watching the game with you after your show's over with. I mean, that's going to be one of those moments where I'm going to remember where I was when IU pulled this off. So looking forward to it on Friday. Invite everybody else to come on down there. But I wanted to bring up one thing. 1926, Hinkle Fieldhouse was built. Now the Butler's playing tonight at Hinkle Fieldhouse, but this year that stadium, which was one of the wonders of the world when it was built, is 100 years old. And so I started looking into that a little bit and everything. And Tony Hinkle, who's now the Fieldhouse is named after, came to Butler after they moved from Irvington, I think in 1928. And he was a three-sport football coach. And let me read you off his record real quick. I'll do this fast. In football, Tony Hinkle was 183, 104, and 16 ties. Basketball, 560 and 392 losses. Baseball, 330, 309 losses. That comes up to over 1,000 wins during the career of one coach.
That's a lot of games, Billy. A lot of games.
A lot of stuff. And he was the athletic director too.
Yeah.
So it was just phenomenal. So my Mount Rushmore of college coaches that coached in Indiana is Bobby Knight, Branch McCracken, John Wooden, and Tony Hinkle. And I know I'm leaving out great coaches like Matt Painter, for example. I think is going to be in that conversation eventually. But Gene Keady certainly was all-time great coach in the state of Indiana. So I hope we can just keep that momentum going.
Yeah, and Billy, I'm going to see you on Friday, right? Clayton's Country Bar.
You know it.
You got it, buddy.
You got it.
Thank you very much. He did jog my memory on a great joke. Cheech and Chong's next movie. Do you remember when they told the joke about, I'm going to take this napkin and this glass into a piece of fruit? And remember the joke was, ain't that a peach? Oh, that's beautiful. I may tell that joke on Friday on stage. Ain't that a peach? John Harbaugh in Baltimore, 18 campaigns. 180, 113, 13 and 11 in the postseason, and a Super Bowl title. I know you guys want to dream a little dream, but come on. Josh says if Buffalo flames out, McDermott will be gone and Harbaugh will be their next coach. Perfect spot for him. Chris writes this, so help me understand, Harbaugh doesn't make the playoffs due to missed field goal by a rookie kicker as time expired on the road, and the Colts missed the postseason by 3 games. I know. It is incredible. Incredible. I can't begin to tell you how difficult it is to buy what has been said and where you are with this. And I give credit where credit is due. How in the world you find your way to still believe in it right now is beyond me. John Harbaugh is out. A little bit of accountability right there. James, do we need a break? Quick break. We shall return if you're on hold. I'll get to you a little bit after 6 o'clock as well. 18 seasons, John Harbaugh done in Baltimore. Yeah, a rookie kicker bricks it. He's done, and now, by virtue of that, is going to be the hottest name in this particular coaching cycle, and may even determine the fate of coaches that are still involved in their seasons. You never know. Pacers coming up later on tonight. They host the Cavaliers. 6:30 your coverage begins right here on The Fan. It is St. John's and Butler. 6:30 coverage. 92.7 Fuego. Thank you for listening. Bullseye info on the possibility of us all attending a national championship in Miami. Plus our location coming up on Friday. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
JMV does not suck at all.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I sound like Greg Rakestraw sounded earlier today. My son Blake, he doesn't sound like that anymore either. Outstanding. Yeah, thank you guys. Cheech and Chong's next movie was the fruit joke, the peach. And if you remember, Cheech played a dual role of Cheech and Dwayne Red Mendoza. And he told the joke once, and then Chong was on stage. So, God, I'm sorry. I love Up in Smoke and the next movie, outstanding. Nice Dreams, The Corsican Brothers, and Still Smoking, a big But the first two, Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke and the next movie, fantastic material, James.
Does it surprise you to know that I have never seen Cheech and Chong?
See, you living in this particular world that you do, I would think that Up in Smoke at the very least would be something you would see.
I mean, I know of Cheech and Chong, obviously, and I've seen clips of them on YouTube, but I have never sat down and watched one of their movies all the way through.
Red Mendoza. That's great. But no, that's the next movie. Well, memory jog right there. Hey, Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday. We're going to have a pre-party before the Peach Bowl, and then I guess have a watch party afterwards. So join me, Clayton's Country Bar, to watch before, during, and then after. Hopefully celebratory after the Peach Bowl coming up on Friday. Clayton's Country Bar. Join me. Cannot wait to see you there. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'll get to more of your phones and remind you tomorrow is going to be the day. And again, this is before, obviously there's etched in stone IU being in the title game. But how should I put this? I'll put it this way. I have a significant package for you. I'll tell you all about my significant package coming up in just a second. And yes, if you're keeping track at home, that is a phenomenal tease right there. D's on line 3 at 239-1070. Welcome to the show, D. How are you?
Brother Jay, good evening, greetings, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hope you had wonderful holidays.
I did. I did a little bit of working and stuff, but it was all good. D, thank you very much. I hope you did as well. What do you got?
Wonderful, wonderful. Brother Jay, I absolutely agree with you 100%. It has been a disaster for Colts team and the fans, And I just had a quick question. And by the way, brother, go IU. Absolutely.
Sure thing.
That's my alma mater, and go IU. Brother, quick question. I don't know if it's a good question, bad, or a funny question, but has ever a owner reneged their decision? Like for Carliers,
you're talking about my John Harbaugh hypothetical here.
You know what I mean, brother?
Well, I mean, I think coaches have only done that to the Colts with Chris Ballard's era and with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has done it to Chris Ballard, but to my recollection, the Colts have not done it to somebody else. They've only had it done to them.
But has that ever happened, brother? That ever the owner has reneged and said, "Oh, by the way, both of you are gone"?
Oh, it's had to have happened. I just can't recollect off the top of my head if it has. Listen. Wow. At the very least, it had to have happened in the Al Davis era. Did it not? It had to have. And it probably will happen in the Mark Davis, Tom Brady era here relatively soon. But I would assume with the Raider organization at some point that's had to have happened.
Wow, brother.
I would guess. But no, the Colts have had it done to them. They just haven't done it to anybody else.
But, brother, that's all I got. Brother, you have a wonderful evening.
D, thank you very much. Very kind of you, D. Anybody else have – I may be missing it again. It's just off the top of my head. I can't think of anything. I would guess the Raiders have done this.
Maybe if we just pretend that we never saw the press conference yesterday, just pretend it never happened, that'll kind of give them the motivation to do it.
Well, and then they doubled down on that letter because the press conference went so horribly the day before.
Just act like we didn't see it. It didn't happen, didn't exist, delete it.
And listen, you guys are all right to say, what in this world would John Harbaugh want in this place right now? 100%. 100%. The way that it looks, yeah. I'm just saying that type of personality that is demanding and, deals in terms of accountability here. Unless you believe after 18 seasons that he softened up and he's past it. But no. Unfortunately for you, all that is viewed as a hypothetical. See, what's funny, people are going to look at his resume over 18 seasons and go, well, it's really not that impressive. Yeah, okay. You imagine what kind of jackass would say that? Xavier's next, 239-1070. Xavier, jump on here. What's up?
Hello?
Hello, Xavier.
Yeah. I'm called in, JMV. I listen to you every day.
Thank you.
And I called in maybe a year ago and got through. But, I'm an old guy that's watched a lot of football. I'm 71. And from my understanding of football, Frank Wright and Steichen, they end up calling the same freaking plays. You get on a 4th and 1 on the daggone goal line. Instead of a straight dive, they want to jack around and hike the ball to the tight end and all this kind of stuff. It just drives you crazy because when you go east and west on the football, you're not going north and south. And then when you got Ballard in here, when I last time I talked to you, I said, as long as they got Ballard as the GM, they ain't gonna never win nothing because the man does not know how to evaluate talent. Just name me one guy on, at least two guys you think gonna go to the Hall of Fame since Ballard's been in charge on all 10 of these teams that he had. I can't. It's maybe just JT and Nelson, Quentin Nelson, and that is it. And that's the problem with the Colts. We do not have enough talent to compete in the NFL.
And let me tell you what, Xavier, not only enough talent, but you don't have enough talent where you really need it. And I'm talking about those transformational positions where teams that you see out there, coming off the edge, for example, those guys that really have an impact on a game, you don't have that.
No. And we haven't had any two closers since Freeney and Mathis on the corners and stuff. Those guys were closers.
Yeah.
So now you done had a job for 10 years and you haven't been able to come up with two defensive ends that can sack the quarterback. I'm tired of hearing this. Oh, he got 56 pressures. Pressures don't tackle a quarterback. I ain't seen it since 1971, 72, the quarterback getting pressured.
Yes. And Rick Venturi, Xavier, references this as first wave pressure. And that's legitimate. It's not just, hey, we're going to hang around long enough and, the guy hasn't thrown the football and here we are type of stuff. So you're 100% right.
When we played against the talent, we went 2-7. When we played against the bums, we went 8-2. And when we got exposed by Pittsburgh on defensive, it was all down here from there because we do not have any closers. And then one more thing before I go. I've watched that offensive line get knocked back into JT for the last 7 games this season. I mean, knocked freaking back into the running back. How's he going to get 1,000 yards when your daggone offensive line gets knocked on his can all the time, especially that center? And they say they need more practice. They don't need more practice. They need to get rid of all them bums.
That is Xavier. That's a great call right there. Xavier, thank you very much. Between Xavier and Lori, I've got a newfound spirit on this show for the phone call. Well done. Lord. I'm going to tell you what, Xavier was just more motivating than anything I've seen come out from over there in the past handful of years. Anybody else motivated more out of Xavier than you are about what the Colts have done in the past handful of years? I'll tell you what, somebody better call up Xavier and go, give these guys a talk here. He said, give these bums a talk. Xavier and Lori. Well done on this show today. John Harbaugh, 18 seasons and done at Baltimore. Joshua writes this, JMV, you didn't like Nice Dreams? I didn't like Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams, Corsican Brothers, or Still Smoking. I loved Up in Smoke. And I really liked next movie. Up in Smoke. Up in Smoke is was Lou Adler film. If you're going, oh, well, who's Lou Adler? If you remember watching all those Laker games where Jack Nicholson sat courtside with the guy that had the gray beard and was always wearing the hat, that was Lou Adler. So, yeah, Nice Dreams, not so much. Should have been better, but it wasn't. Matt's line 2 at 239-1070. Hello, Matt.
JMV, Xavier did a great job. I'm going to close you out strong.
You got it, brother. Go ahead.
Mike Tannenbaum needs to keep our saintly Hoosier head coach's name out of his dirty mouth with the Raiders. That is blasphemy.
I know it. Not the same thing. I knew that was probably going to start a fire with IU fans playing that. Yeah.
It took us 140 years to get a good coach, JMV, and they want to take him in 18 months. Come on, man.
In a package deal to the Raiders.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
2. You blanked on the name for Kix Brooks. It's Ronnie Dunn, who's the other dude.
Ronnie Dunn.
Southern Indianaism. Yep. Going full hypothetical, you need to be ready after this Peach Bowl. Have your Greene County Frosted Tips, your Fiero, and some cases of Lawrence County Big Red down in southern Florida for all us Hoosiers.
Yes.
Ready for this Sig Natty.
Yes. That's right. That's why this even more emphasizes why IU has to get this done in this rematch against Oregon on Friday. So we can all go down there and have one incredibly memorable party all weekend.
It'll be like a field party in Greene County, but it's in southern Florida.
Will they arrest me if I start a bonfire somewhere? If we all sit on the back of some truck, we got to sit on the back of truck tailgates and start a bonfire.
I had a full complex answer about Carly Ursay mirroring Scott Dolson and, benchmarking what you need in a coach, who's successful, do this. You're right. Just hire Harbaugh. Pick whoever he wants as a GM.
Yes.
There's examples. Wade Phillips, there's other coaches out there that you get a vote of confidence, and within days you're gone. So there's examples that are out there of people like that. I think one of the Giants defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, 15 hours after Mike Kafka said he had full confidence, Bowen was fired. So there's a precedent there.
You would win back basically every single fan if you would do something as unprecedented and out of character as this. They won't, and I'm sure that Harbaugh wouldn't have any interest, but that would certainly answer a lot of the questions and make people feel a hell of a lot better about this product moving forward than they certainly do right now.
The only thing I'll end with is I feel better about the Ursay daughters doing this than Jim, because Jim was too loyal, and that was just because of time and what life did to him. I do have confidence these daughters will get it right. They're just figuring it out a little bit, but so far I've seen them use data and results to make informed decisions, so I have faith that they will do the right thing.
Matt, way to close that thing out strong. Quick break. We shall return. Final 8 minutes. We'll do that on the other side and get you to a Colts update. Pacer pregame with the Cavaliers and the Pacers from the Fieldhouse on the inbound with Pat Boylan's got you at 6:30. That tip time is 7 o'clock tonight. St. John's and Butler, Dog Fan, 6:30. Fuego, that's 92.7 from Mark and Nick on Fuego. And the Dogs in need. Here's the thing. Against the St. John's team, you can't be jacking around. Give a complete performance. Have a little bit more want to and care on the defensive end. And I know that it sounds stupid for me saying that because I half-ass it, but I'm not in the college game right now. Butler, give your fans a complete game. Thad, demand that bad boy tonight because this thing's necessary at Hinkle versus St. John's. Again, 6:30 on 92.7 Fuego. Don't go anywhere. Your calls to close out the show coming up next.
The Ride with JMV.
I'm the boys, Prince.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, that's what I sent back in the mid-'90s to Kiss FM in L.A. Something that sounded just like that. Jordan Davison, have you guys heard the news? The running back of the Ducks. Of course, Oregon and IU rematch coming up on Friday, the Peach Bowl, for the right to play for a national title. Jordan Davison has an injured shoulder and, according to reports, likely not to play coming up on Friday. The stats on Davison this season, 667 rushing yards to go along with 15 touchdowns. So 113 for 667. That's nearly a 6 yards per average and 15 touchdowns this season. That's rough right there. I want to say going back, did he have 126 against IU in that first meeting in October on the ground? That's according to Aaron Fentress that covers the Oregon Ducks. Unlikely to play. A broken clavicle. And I think they just had another guy running back wise going the transfer portal. We'll see how that plays out. JMV, this from Charles, stayed all night with a friend, and his parents took us to see Cat People. Ooh, yeah, that's Natasha Kinski. I saw that because she was naked the entire time. I had no idea what went on in the film, and I knew David Bowie had a great song on the soundtrack. I just watched it because Natasha Kinski was nude the entire time. I'm sorry, I did. All right, I'm 12. That's what I did. I'm still 12. Cat People and Up in Smoke at the Centerbrook Drive-In. I was 7. Man, tip of the cap to your parents for that. I didn't see my first rated R movie until I was 9. The Jerk. Steve Martin. I found out what type of job that Navin R. Johnson was getting. What job he took on. Seriously, though, Cat People. James, you've never seen the Cat People with Natasha Kinski?
I have not,
no.
no.
She was naked the entire time. And really, it's a different era of naked, too. And guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It was a different era of naked. Much different nudity than today. It's a real dude's nudity.
You said Cat People is the name of it?
Cat People. I think David Bowie had a song, the title track, on the soundtrack to Cat People. And I also believe that was David Bowie before Nile Rodgers produced the Let's Dance album. And I think probably his most successful album of all time right there. Maybe a year after that. Blake is at 239-1070. A little anything goes time after 6 o'clock. Hello, Blake.
Hey, Jay. Thanks for having me on, man.
You got it, buddy.
I've been a Colts fan my entire life. But this year, or this time last year, when Jim Irsay put out that tweet saying that Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard will be back, I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick a new team. I'm going to become a Chicago Bear fan because by default, if Indy doesn't have a team, I go to Chicago. So after week 1, when the Colts beat the Dolphins, and then after week 2, when they beat the Broncos, they got me. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Because Chris Ballard's still the GM. How many coaches does he get? How many quarterbacks does he get? How many owners does he get? I'm sick of it.
Yep.
So with that being said, bear down.
You got Blake. Thank you for that call. John Harbaugh, no longer the head coach of Baltimore after 18 seasons, too. Colts fans, would you like to see a reboot and a redo of a presser? You get a presser. You get a letter to the fans. What can you do now? But that. How about just put something in the mail, a mail or a flyer or something?
Just give them a mulligan.
Skywriting. We're going a different direction, whatever. All right, Colts updates coming up next. That's likely not going to be a part of the Colts update. Pacer pregame after that. 6:30, Pat Boylan's got you. Butler St. John's on Fuego, 92.7. James, great job. Back with you tomorrow. Danny Cannell, Boomer Esiason, and more tomorrow.